Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is live on a Monday. What's happening, y'all? Great to be with you. Happy Monday. No matter where you happen to be listening around the world, we are glad to have you along for the ride emanating from the beautiful metropolitan Greenville, South Carolina. The Rob Brown Show is in your ear holes. What a weekend. No shortage of things to talk about today. I am Rob Brown. Howdy, y'all. And directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass, he has tapped the play like a champion sign this AM. We show up hurt. We show up injured. We show up ready to roll. The great one, Lonzo at the helm. What up, Zoe?
I quit making picks. I'm done. I'm finished. I officially canceled the contest.
I need you to know that because you're not in your A+ today.
Hey, bring it. Yeah, I'm all right. I probably can handle it better how I feel now. Yeah. Because
you're not at your A+ today, I had zero intention of bringing that up today. It's on the rundown. The record's on the rundown. But I had no intention of bringing it up on that. I was going to give you till tomorrow. I was going to give you a day to just kind of coast.
The way I'm feeling now, tomorrow is not promised. So,
he means that he might use a sick day, ladies and gentlemen. Not that he's going to cease to exist today.
You don't speak for me.
What a start to the show, people. What a start to the show. We had an amazing weekend of college football. I mean, an amazing weekend of college football. We had yesterday, the NFL was an absolute boat show. The Steelers beat the Buccaneers. Tom Brady's head exploded, metaphorically, but almost literally. Josh Allen did what he does. Zoe needed Kansas City just to cover, not to win. Just to cover, and Josh Allen got him. The Saints, we always used to make the joke, Zoe, that the greatest job in the world is in the National Football League. It's Peyton Manning's backup, right? Like, because even when it was time to take the victory formation in Indy or in Denver, Peyton Manning would not come out of the game. Peyton Manning could have had every bone in his body broken. He wasn't coming out of the game. We joked for many years, that the best job in the world has got to be Peyton Manning's backup, right? You make millions of dollars, you never have to do anything. The worst job in the NFL has got to be wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, because you can be sexually and physically assaulted by defensive backs while the ball's in the air, and there's no flag for it. There's no flag for it at all. Joey B and co go into New Orleans to get the win. The Panthers, 10-point dogs, go over to L.A. Once again, can't find the end zone offensively. Get one pick six to make it a 10-point game for Carolina. And that wasn't even the weirdest thing. Robbie Anderson got kicked off the sideline by his own new head coach. What?
Do we know what he said? I mean, I haven't seen what he said exactly. There's, those parabolic microphone, whatever those big things are, they had to pick that up. As soon as you see confrontation, you're aiming that mic over there trying to get whatever you can out of that. So
we do not know specifically what was said by Robbie Anderson. What we know is the details of what happened. The details of what happened were it was third down. Robbie Anderson got pulled off the field. Robbie wasn't happy about it. Robbie got into a discussion with the wide receivers coach on the sideline. That discussion continued for like a while. Later on in the game, all of the wide receivers were sitting together on the bench going over game plans, except Robbie Anderson, who was about 20 yards away sitting on a Gatorade cooler by himself. Then later on in the game, he and the wide receiver coach got into it again. Steve Wilkes walked over. He had some words for both of them. And then he told Robbie, hey, why don't you hit the showers, number 3? Hit the showers, big dog. You need a break. And sent him on his way. I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, And obviously, the newest episode of the Views from Mint Street podcast, available where major podcasts are found, starring Lonzo Reitzel. And also, I'm there. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I'm going to say on it now, Zoe. Robbie Anderson's good as gone.
Yeah, but we kind of discussed that on the last one, that he was the loudest one and that he should be on the trade block or be the first one, although he's not the only one, supposedly. But so after talking about that and seeing, I'm not surprised. I think a question is, would he have done this under Matt Rule?
Yeah, James just popped into the Facebook stream chat, facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitch. James just popped in and said, Robbie's mad because his Temple coaches are gone. I mean, maybe. But that's a bad look, dude. It's just a bad look, right? I've got, and Keegan popped in. Keegan's got it. And I've got the response from Robbie Anderson. We're going to get into that a little bit later on in the show. But he said that he got taken out of the game because he, quote, complained about getting taken out on third down, end quote. That's going to be the defense, right? That's going to be you know what it is? As I get myself in trouble, dude, he's gaslighting the Panthers right now, right? He's gaslighting the Panthers. You didn't get yanked because you complained about getting taken out on third down. Like, you did do that, and we know that, and I'm not even upset with that. What you can't do is walk over to the positional coach and get up all in his grill about it. What you can't do is then go, well, screw you guys, I'm going home, and go sit on a cooler 20 yards away from your position group as they're working through the game plan and adjustments on the field. You can't do that, Robbie. If you want to be a part of the team, be a part of the team. And if you don't, then don't. But you can't, do all the things that you did and then get shocked when people leave.
All right. So in this day and age, like in the NBA and other sports, this is the way to get yourself traded.
Oh, yeah.
You would think, I mean,
it's almost like he wants out.
I don't want to go back in my day because it will hurt my throat. But back in my day, you did this thing. People will look at you and go, no, I don't want that guy. But in today's sports world, that guy does that. Well, he's just passionate. We need him on our team. It makes no sense. You would think doing this would be a detriment and not a way to get people's interest.
You know, it's interesting because I think a lot of us try to project the way that the world should work in the National Football League based on how the world does work for us out here in normal people land. And it doesn't work like that.
All right. So if you were looking to bring someone in on this show and you had the power to do that, you might, I don't know. So you looked and you see this guy is on this other show. He's very talented, but he decides one day, I'm not doing this anymore. And he goes off on the host there. He goes off on the boss there and decides to just go sit in his office and not be a part of the show. Are you going to look at that guy and go, yeah, man, he's talented. I don't care about all that. He's just unhappy. I'm just going to bring him in here.
Marshawn Lynch is still working for Amazon Prime.
Yeah, but he took some time off.
Yeah, he did.
He took some time.
But now he's back. Right? And all his stuff's not resolved. Here's what
I'm saying. But Marshawn Lynch, even though that was stupid what he did with the car, it was never a problem with him fighting with his coaches and stuff.
I understand that.
Even after they didn't run him in the Super Bowl.
So run the goddamn football. Love you, Rich.
Which the Panthers did yesterday.
They did. And that game did not get nearly as out of hand as it possibly could have.
If that first drive intensity was there the entire game, if there weren't adjustments made on the other side.
I mean, it wasn't far off from the projected spread of 10, right?
It was only a 7-point deficit going in the fourth quarter.
Dude, it was tied up until the third?
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing to kind of circle back to where we started just a second ago. We all kind of project, and I think the analogies don't work, and here's why. Lonzo asked the question of okay, if there was a dude who popped off on his boss and popped off on his program director, would you bring him in? And here's the question that you have to ask whether you like it or not. The answer is maybe. If that dude was on, let's say, WFAN New York, right? He's on the biggest station, and the dude has been getting ratings for 15 years, right? He's been popping 1 million listeners consistently for 15 years. Yeah, he's got more leeway to get away with more garbage. It happens in this building. There are people in this building that because of their consistency and listenership and ratings, they can get away with more than you and I can and still have a mic on Monday. They can say and do things that would cause you and I to get suspended or fired. But because of the fact that they draw so much, they get extra leeway, right? Look again, to kind of continue to bring in other analogies here. How many wrestlers have gotten away and said stupid things, and as soon as Hunter took over, he brought them right back, right? Why? Because they draw, because they sell tickets. Robbie Anderson on the right team with the right QB is a very solid number 2 wide receiver. He's not a number 1, but he's a very solid number 2 receiver. And there are a lot of NFL teams that are a playmaker or two away from taking that next step forward. And Keegan just asked the question a second ago. He said, Robbie wants out. They're taking calls on McCaffrey. Is this a necessary restart or a self-implosion, right? If you are the GM of another team, and let's say you've got the quarterback, you've got wide receiver 1, and you've got a running back, but you don't have that second guy, right? You don't have that second wide out. Robbie Anderson's absolutely the guy. And you could be convinced, I'm not saying you would be, but you could be convinced that, this really isn't on Robbie. The Panthers are a dumpster fire right now, right? The Panthers are a dumpster fire. Robbie wants to win, and Robbie's just letting the dumpster fire, like he's doing what he needs to get the hell out. And that might be exactly what he's doing here. And I'll give you some of the quotes from Robbie Anderson coming up later on the show and on the Views from Main Street podcast. We'll be recording our next episode later today, dropping it this afternoon.
I just want to say real quick, Robbie Anderson isn't nearly as talented as other guys like OBJ and other guys who've done this sort of thing and then ended up on another team. He's not on that.
I don't disagree
level.
with you. I don't disagree with you. But
I believe he thinks he is, though.
I believe he thinks he is as well. And I'm not disagreeing that he is or is not. He's not. I entirely agree with you. But he is better than a lot of other number 2 receivers, right? He's better than a lot of other wide receivers in the league right now. And Robbie is absolutely justified, in my opinion. He is absolutely justified to believe that he could be doing better elsewhere. I think he's right? I'm not saying he's going to the Pro Bowl, but I'm saying there are other teams Robbie Anderson could be playing on right now that he would have better numbers. He would have better productivity. He would be in better shape than he is now in Carolina. And for the record, that's true of most, if not all, the guys on that team. Christian McCaffrey. You don't think McCaffrey, who's got good numbers, by the way, crested up over 620-something yards from scrimmage so far this season? You don't think Robbie would have a better time in LA's offense right now or Buffalo's offense right now? Of course he would. Of course he would. As I asked when I was hosting the Carolina kickoff yesterday, filling in for Diesel, as I asked on the Carolina kickoff show yesterday, the question for these guys, for Robbie, for DJ, for Brian Burns, for Gross Matos, for Derek Brown, the question for all these cats is, the Carolina Panthers are about to turn the corner. What direction? I don't know. Can't get much worse. Are they going to get better? I don't know. But the question is, you are the young foundation of this team. DJ, Brian, Derek, Yetur. Do you want to be a part of whatever the next era is? Or do you want to just go somewhere else that's already had success without you and get paid? And if that's the answer, that's fine. I understand that. I get that. A lot of guys in my industry that will not go to an upstart station, a station that's up and coming. No matter what resources they have, they won't go somewhere that's new. They're only going to go to places that are established and have already had success so that they can piggyback onto that and make that money. I get it. I'm good with that. I understand that. But do you want to be a part of whatever's next or not? And I think Robbie Anderson answered that question for us this weekend, right? I think he answered that question for us. All right, let's take a break. Coming up on the show today, I told you that FSU Clemson was going to get wonky. Lonzo, it got real close at the end. A lot of Clemson fans sweating it out a little bit there. Wasn't quite as close as the 3.5-point spread indicated, but it was about one play away from being right there. We'll talk about that game. Rocky Top, you are no longer number 2 in the SEC. Well, you are because Georgia's better than you. But the bugaboo is gone for old Rocky Top as Nick Saban and his boys give up more points than Bama has given up since 1907. 1907, not 2007, 1907. And now Tennessee's asking for their fans to pay up. Why? Tell you that coming up in a minute. We got more Panthers talk. And coming up, I have to go get it from my car. I got Lonzo a present. And it's not something that he's going to be like, dude, why are you doing this? He's going to like it. I'll give it to him next. And we'll talk about my softball game at the same time. Because Rob Brown did not go over. All that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, stream, stay right there. We will be right back.
So apologize for my lack of energy. It has nothing to do with me having to face the boo box before, because let's face it, that's normal for me. It's not feeling well. Might be coming down with something. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just depressed. I mean, I don't think that's what it is. Could be part of it, though. I actually would just like to go over there in the corner and go to sleep. It's also weird, you know, because I watched the end of the Clemson game, oh, wow. I can't think of his name. You know, that guy who's a kicker who, you know, has his own podcast and stuff. And I can't think of his name because I don't feel well. It's just proof. I watched his version last Saturday night. And so now Charlie Whitehurst keeps showing up on my Twitter feed as someone to follow. I cannot think, this is how sick I am. I can't think. Yeah, Pat McAfee. I can't think of McAfee's name. I don't know. It was weird.
Keenan and I were texting back and forth. That watch along they did was kind of fun. They were doing the Clemson Florida State game.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I watched a good portion of that when I got home Saturday night.
I tweeted this out. I came up with the reason that I'm insanely jealous of Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is just a better version of Rob Brown. Like, he's doing everything I want to do.
Yeah, he worked hard to get all that.
I know he did.
So
doesn't hurt to have made millions of dollars in the NFL to have a little bit more of a foundation.
Also, I
can't buy a basketball gym to turn into a studio yet.
Yeah. Also, I don't care, so I'm just gonna go do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Because I got enough money to not care. Yeah.
Like Pat McAfee, if I inherited $10 million today, I'd be Pat McAfee. It's exactly what I'd do. I'd have a basketball gym as a studio. I'd be doing everything I could to get on Friday Night SmackDown. And Charlie Whitehurst, a.k.a. Clipboard Jesus himself, was hard rocking the man bun. Hard rocking the man bun. Courtney sends me a text, and she's like, Courtney's got a crush on Charlie Whitehurst. Has since he was at Clemson.
Which is just weird.
Weird.
Yeah, who she pulls for, you know.
She texted me a picture of him before she realized it was him. She was like, you should dress like this guy. I like his look. The like denim shirt, skinny jeans, cowboy boots. She's like, and man bun. And I'm like, Charlie Whitehurst? And she's like, oh my God, I have a type. I'm like, you do. You do. I look like a fat Charlie Whitehurst.
No, you don't.
I just describe myself as a fat Charlie Whitehurst.
Yeah, but you're not. I mean,
I don't have the man bun rocking yet.
No, well, even if you did, there's only one of those. There's only one of those.
So Saturday evening, I played in the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association Celebrity Charity Softball game up in Lancaster, South Carolina, which is 2.5 hours from here. Did not mind the drive at all. Didn't mind doing it. Had a great time. Got a chance to finally shake the hand of Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up Show. Exceptionally nice guy. He came over and said hello to me. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. But there are two things that I want to talk about. First off, and most importantly to me, Lonzo, 2 for 3, 2 singles. I did not know this. If there's a throwing error to first, when you're running to first, you just get second for free and it counts as a double. So baseball scoring, it was 2 singles with a throwing error and an extra bag. Softball scoring, I went 2 for 3 with a single and a double, and no fielding errors, which is all I wanted, right? I wanted to show up. I wanted to put points on the board. I did. My first at bat was an RBI, and then I got stranded on first. My second at bat was the single turn double. My second at bat was a laser rope out to center field. I thought when it came off the bat, I might have a chance to have gone no doubles, all dingers, but it didn't quite get there. But it did drop. Got the single on that. Got the RBI there. And then my final at bat, 2 outs, was able to bloop one out. First one got caught. Second one was the laser out to center. Third one was a little bloop shot over the shortstop's head. RBI, got batted to third by the next batter, and then was able to score on the next hit after that. So ended up going 2 for 3, a single, a double, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. Not a bad day for a guy who hasn't swung a baseball bat in like 7 years.
Did you guys win?
We did.
Okay.
We did. 14-12, I think, was the final score.
So you contributed to winning. So that helps.
I scored 2.
Yeah,
I had 2 RBIs. We won by 2.
There you go.
I'm not saying it was only me. I'm just saying it was pretty good. It's pretty good. Second thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to thank Zoe for not just the hard work on this show, but the Views from Mint Street podcast as well. So Zoe, for you, and maybe more so for Miss Lisa for giving you the leniency to do it, picked up for you the Luke Kuechly autographed football to add to your sports memorabilia collection as a thank you for the hard work on this show and for the Views from Mint Street podcast. You now add a Luke Kuechly autographed football to the collection.
Thank you. If she's listening, she passed out.
It's hers now?
She passed out, yeah. I'll put it in her home office so she can look at it.
I was going to say, I don't expect to see this on the stream. I certainly expect it to see over Miss Lisa's desktop setup. What you guys elect to do with the Luke Kuechly signed football is up to you. But was able to snag that this weekend and wanted to thank you for the podcast continuing to grow. We got a lot of good feedback from the corporate folks last week. They like the direction it's going in, and the numbers continue to pump up, and that's on you, and that's on your hard work. So I appreciate all of it, and there is your Luke Kuechly signed football because I'm poor and can't give you money.
All right, so I really appreciate it, and I don't want people to think that I just set it aside because I don't care about it, as I'm just not sure I can't drop it.
Zoe is on the struggle bus today. I'm going to tell you this. So the first at bat, I got up under the ball. First at bat, I got up under the ball. First at bat, it just blooped out to the shortstop. He did have to make a diving catch to get under it, but the I guess sliding catch did come down with it. So I was out before I got to first. Second at bat was a battle between me and the pitcher because I didn't know this. So like beer league softball, I thought it was just going to be like they just kind of underhand toss it over to the plate, right?
No, that's not how that works.
Oh, no, these guys got pitches. It's still got to be underhand.
Not only do they have pitches, it has movement.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I thought, again, I haven't swung a baseball bat at a baseball in probably like 5, 6, 7 years, legit. So, and there was no warm-up at bats, right? Like I didn't get BP before this whole thing started to put a few on the ball. So the first at bat was cold, right? Go up there, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take one. Ball to strike. I'm going to take one just to see what it looks like. And homeboy throws me just a pitch, right? It's just a slow pitch fastball. And I watch it and it cleared. I'm like, all right, I got it. Second pitch, when he releases, I recognize, Lonzo, that like the first one, he just underhanded the way you would see like an underhand. The second one, I realized, though, that he has backspun, like he has released it with a heavy backspin. And I'm like, all right, I can get this one. And it's over the dish. And I'm like, oh, this thing is grooved. And I hit it. Well, I got told later that the backspin is, unless you hit that thing solid dead center of the barrel, the point of that is to get it to pop straight up in the air. And it worked like a dream. I mean, straight up. Shortstop makes a sliding, a diving catch.
Couldn't you hit the top of that and it would?
I mean, you would think it would dive down to the dirt, but like it's difficult to get on top of the ball, and more importantly, these were 90-foot bases. Well, you're playing a full baseball field, like a full-size baseball field. So if you were going to hit one into the infield, it had to either be like a swinging bunt where it just died at the dish, and even then, the catcher can pick it up and throw you out. And it turns out 90 feet's a long way for a 38-year-old fat guy to run, or you had to hit it blistering down the line to get it by the infield. And on top of that, there's 5 outfielders. So it's like, even if you scream it down the line, the left and right fielders are basically playing on the line.
You know what you could have done? You could have hit it right back at the pitcher and say, get that mess out of here.
Now, here's the thing. There's a net in front of the pitcher. I didn't know this either.
Okay.
Net in front of the pitcher. And if you hit the net, it's a foul ball. Even in play, like even if it's a rocket right back at the pitcher, if it hits the net, it's a foul ball, right? So if you're going to hit it back, and this is what I did on the second one, I hit it straight back, but I hit it up over the net. So hit that one, blooped it up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, dude, this is going to suck. I'm going to embarrass. Oh, by the way, a huge swing and a whiff on my first swing. I mean, just missed everything. Oof, spun myself in a circle. I'm like, oh, no.
So you oversold it?
Oh, yeah.
Just on purpose to make it look like you were just playing around? I tried to make
it look like if that bat gets on that ball, it's going to Saturn, right? Second pitch, ping, straight up in the air. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long day. Long day. So we go a couple of innings. Second at bat comes up. Second AB, get up there. He throws the first pitch. I take again. It's a strike. So I'm in the hole. 0-1. Like, all right, got to protect the plate, right? Second pitch, I foul it just off the bat, just outside of the first baseline. Foul ball. Strike 2. Third pitch, I crush it up the middle, and it pops off the net. Foul ball. 0-2. Third pitch, get a barrel on it again, but this time I hit it down the left field line. It goes just foul left, still 0-2. Third one, I get a grip on it, and it goes, I'm talking inches over the net, but it is on a rope out to center, drops down just over the center fielder's head, gets out to the fence. As I'm making my way to first, though, I look out to center, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting a double, right? I'm getting two here. I am cranking to first base. Well, the guy playing out in center has a cannon. He picks it up, and I'm not even to first when this ball's on the way to second. I'm like, okay, no double. Like, let me just get to first, and I'm going to make sure it's not even close. So I'm hauling to first base. Get to first. By the time I'm at first, the ball's already at second base. I'm like, oh, well, nope, never mind on the double. Run scores. I'm on first. Next guy pops it up. That's 3. All right. Third AB, I go up, and I decide that I'm going to follow my man Brandon's advice. All dingers, no doubles. I'm like, I'm going for the fences. I'm the first at bat of the inning. No outs. I'm like, you know what? If I get out, I get out. We're up 2. I'm going fence here. First pitch, it's a ball. Second pitch, I lean into it with everything I got. And I get up under again. Ping, up in the air. But it's got a little distance. It goes over the shortstop's head. He comes down, and he goes to make a play at first. And I realize, like, oh, this is going to be close. Like, I got to run this out. So, Zoe, I hit cruise control, man. Just mash the throttle. Burning it down the line to first. As much as I'm capable of burning. I get to first base, and as I'm, like, getting to first, I look over, and the ball's on its way. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a foot race, right? And the first thing I heard was my dad going, do not slide. You do not slide into first base. Sliding into first slows you down. You hit that bag on a full sprint, and you carries it out to the fence if you need to. Do not slide into first.
That's right. Run through it.
Well, as I'm looking over and the throw's coming, I'm like, all right, Rob Brown, everything you got. Like, this is it. There are no more ABs after this. This is your last chance. So I hit the bag. Full speed, step on the bag. Well, I haven't stepped on a baseball base, like running at a baseball base in years. I step on it, and you forget, like, the bag's raised up a couple inches. Yeah. I step on it, and when I put my left foot on the bag running by it, as I put my foot on the bag, because my foot at a full sprint doesn't go all the way to the ground, like I've only known how to run forever, my leg just forgets how to operate at that moment, right? And I find myself running through the bag, not because that's the right play, but because I can't stop. Like, the legs are churning, the chest is down and out, my balance is off, and I'm like, dude, if I don't save this, I am going to crash and burn teeth first into the grass well down the right field line. So at this point, I'm like, save it. And the only way to save it is to slow the legs enough to be able to pick the chest back up and regain my balance. So this thing took me, I'm not kidding you, halfway out to right field before I was able to establish my balance again. Turn around, dugout's like, hey, way to run it out, Rob Brown, way to run it out. Let's go three. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to convince them that the only reason I am out in center right field at this point is because I was really legging it out with everything I got, and not that my body forgot how to run and I lost my balance, and my options were slide head first into right field or slow myself up to regain the balance. Anyway, the throw, fortunately, was wide of the bag, so I ended up with a double. So I was able to just kind of peel it off and make it look like I knew I was going to second and just kind of round it off. So I'm on second. Next guy up hits a liner right past me at short. So I come off the bag. You know, I'm trying to hold the shortstop from making his throw, delay him so that he's got to rush the throw. He makes the throw to first, and I'm like, done base running, YOLO, let's go for it. Take off to third, right? They make the play at first. They make the throw to first. I get to third. As I'm coming to third, the base coach is like, get down. So I slide into third. I come up Turns out the throw to first was an error. So the guy first got to come to second. There was no need to slide. The base coach just thought it'd be funny to make me slide.
Did you look good sliding?
Hell yeah, I did.
Okay.
Like Trey Turner, dude.
All right.
So now I'm on third.
Did you do the slide in and then come up? Or did you just lay there?
I still got the slide.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's a slide in the stand. I'm like, I still got it. Still got that, right? Now I'm on third. Base runner on second. First is open. Don't have to run. Next guy up hits a screamer out to center, right? One of the three center fielders is on his way over to it. And I hear the guy at second is like, tag up, and go. Like, word. So get down. Foot's on the bag. I'm ready to go. Soon as old boy makes the catch, I'm like, gotta hit the Rockets. On the way to home. The ball got to home plate from deep center about a step after I had touched the dish. And my pride was in check. But my pride was in check after going 2 for 3 with a single, a double, 2 ribbies, a run scored, and no defensive errors. And the only person who beat me out for the Rookie of the Year trophy was the young lady Ansley Gilstrap playing second, a former Clemson scholarship softball player turned head coach of the Winthrop Eagles softball team. I did not feel bad about losing to her. I thought for a second, I'm like, I got Rookie of the Year numbers, right? That's Rookie of the Year numbers. For a guy who doesn't play, a lot of the guys out there play like professional beer league softball, which I didn't know was a thing. I thought, you know what? 2 for 3, a run scored, 2 RBIs, no defensive errors, a single and a double. That's Rookie of the Year number, right? That's Rookie of the Year. And I got beat out by the girl who was a scholarship Clemson softball player and current head coach of the Winthrop Eagles softball team. I'm like, you know what? I accept second place here. I did all right, and I did not have to be put into an ambulance at the end of the game.
So have you officially retired? Is that what you're doing? You're retiring today, or are your services still available if need be?
I am not retired. I am considering my future opportunities. I'll put it that way. But there's also the part of me that's like, all right, the second shot, the shot out to center, right? Little more juice, I might have gone yard there. And it was like 335, 340 to center, right? Little more juice, maybe I get that one over. So now there's a part of me, and I told Courtney on the way back, like, I'm not in shape, and anybody who sees me, it's very, very obvious. Part of the reason why is, like, I can make all the plans at night to eat healthy, but when I'm hungry, I want whatever is closest, right? And if that means McDonald's, it's McDonald's. I don't even like McDonald's, but I will knock down the Golden Arches if I'm hungry. And I know I need to work out, but I don't work out. I'm allergic to working out. Every time I work out, I turn red and get sweaty. I think I'm allergic, right? But and I told this to the lady friend on the way back. There's a different feel when you're competing, right? When you're in competition. Like, it is different between, oh, I need to work out for my own health versus I need to work out so I can beat that guy. And it was good to compete again. It felt good to compete again. So now my thought is to get back into my old baseball workout routine so that next year when I show up, I go 3 for 3 with a dinger. The single turns to a double. The double turns to a triple. And I can go from 2 to 4 RBIs. Now I've got something that I'm like, okay, I got a year to get it together so that next year's game, when I go out there, I'm not afraid of the ramifications of running to first base. But it felt good. And more importantly, we raised over $10,000 for the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association.
You know, maybe take on some rec league softball coaching, so you have an excuse to be out there to show the kids how to run the bases and stuff. And while you're doing it, you're actually just training for that sort of. I mean, it's because you don't have enough jobs, so why not do that?
I know. I might as well add something else to the roster of things I have to do.
So I know that he was worried when he was on Friday about people getting hurt. So
no injuries.
Good.
No
good.
injuries.
That's good to hear.
That is a lie. One injury. We had a young lady on our team running to first base. The other team made a throw to first. The throw was high. The first baseman skies, grabs it, and spins back around in the air to put the tag on her before she gets to first. and hits her dead center square of the head. Now, a softball's hard, right? Not quite as hard as a baseball, but it's hard. And
it's also big.
It's big and it's hard.
It is.
So when you put it inside of a glove, right, you get a little bit of the pad from the leather of the glove, but it's still hard. I mean, Zoe, he right on dead center of the noggin. I'll put it this way. The play got made at first base. I was in the hole, right? So I'm on the far side of the dugout closest to home plate, and you heard it like you were next to it. I mean, just right on the top of the noggin. She decided that was her last play of the game, which I understood entirely, respected that decision for her to go ahead and retire mid-game. But outside of that, no injuries. And I walked out of there. I will tell you, the quads were on fire this morning when I got out of bed. I was like, oh, okay. All right, Rob Brown. All right. You got to get your life together, man. You ever looked at the mirror and hated yourself? I did this morning when I had to lean on the bathroom counter to hold myself up till my legs got back into operating order.
See, I will do that on occasion, and I look at my hair and realize it's not all bad.
All my best qualities are from the eyes up, my man. Let's take a break. We come back here in just a minute. Already, the Clemson texts are in. Rob, Clemson didn't allow FSU to make it close. We were just running out the clock. Really? They scored back-to-back unanswered touchdowns to bring it within a score, and an onside kick successfully converting. They got a chance to tie that game up. And you're trying to tell me it was because you only ran the ball? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not bad. You won the damn game. I'm just saying. You're telling me that was you weren't at all nervous at the end of that game. Not even a little. We'll talk about it next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Wake Forest have the bye. They'll host Boston College this coming Saturday. The Tar Heels are number 22 in this week's AP Top 25. They beat Duke 38-35 on Saturday. South Carolina had the bye. The Gamecocks will host Texas A&M this week. Furman football is 5-2 after a 47-40 win over Western Carolina. Liberty beat Gardner-Webb 21-20 Saturday. Campbell's won 3 straight. They beat Robert Morris 41-10 Saturday. Old Dominion routed Coastal Carolina 49-21. Wofford beat Citadel 31-16 for their first win of the season. Catch Furman Paladins football all season long on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM.
Yes, that is exactly right. Exactly right. I was gassed, without a doubt. Without a doubt, I was gassed. So Stephen, what do you think about Dorman? I say this without offending anybody. I don't think I will. The facilities, the press box, the luxury suites, the facilities themselves at Spartanburg are every bit as nice, if not nicer, than Dorman, right? The field at Spartanburg is every bit as nice, if not nicer, at Spartanburg than Dorman. But Dorman's field has got to be the prettiest surrounding area I've ever seen around a football stadium, or a high school football stadium. Sitting in the press box. So I walked the field first, right? I walked the field, and to look up the hill and see that one building up on top of the hill with the big bright D on the top of it, that was incredible. And then the
Were the lights on? It probably wasn't dark enough.
It wasn't dark when I got there. Yeah. By the end of the game, when it was beautiful, it was impressive. And then before, like when it was sunset, when it was that golden hour, when it was in that golden hour, with the trees that surround that stadium, and especially with the leaves turning colors on those trees around the stadium. It was beautiful as a stadium. It was absolutely beautiful. I think the facilities at Spartanburg were every bit as nice, if not slightly nicer than Dorman's, but the stadium and the surrounding view was gorgeous, dude. Was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It was, when I first moved here, it's like, wait a minute, that's a high school? I mean, and it's a lot of people look at it that way. I mean, it's a nice plot of land where it is. And being able to, the running down the hill thing, although I still think it's hokey, it's still got to be kind of cool if you're a high school player.
Oh, yeah. It was a very cool look. Very cool look. Thomas said, do you know this segment is a lot like showing your vacation photos?
Or you could also look at it as an inside look about how the other, half lives.
Talking about the softball game?
This is how a celebrity rolls. I mean,
No, what I needed to do there, I needed to let the world know that I've still got 33% of it.
Time travel to yesterday. Wait, Progressive covers us 24/7, but we just created an 8-day week, and it's 24/7 coverage, not 24/8. We gotta go back. Are you joking right now? Hi, I have a question about time travel.
Progressive offers more than a great price when you bundle home and auto. We offer round-the-clock protection, which literally means anytime. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Affiliates and third-party insurers.
I used to get frequent heartburn at night, so I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine.
and yes, I'm suddenly freezing. Probably just weather change or something.
It is chilly in here.
Well, and it's getting ready to be cold again starting tomorrow. So I don't know.
The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Robin Lonzo with you on a gorgeous Monday morning. Look, Florida State opened that game going up 7. Clemson answered. Florida State goes up 7 again. It's 14-7. Clemson answered. Florida State gets field goal. And then the turnover happened. And Clemson took control of that game, right? For the record, I never felt like Clemson wasn't going to win that football game, right? I picked FSU plus 3.5. I did think that was a chance that that game could come down to a field goal. I told you. FSU, after losing back-to-back top 15 games, even though it was to a pair of teams that Clemson had defeated not with ease, but with relative ease, FSU fans right now believe that their team is very much on the verge of turning a corner and returning themselves to prominence. Mike Norvell knows that. The football team itself knows that. And it felt to me like this is one of those games that if Florida State wins, goes down in FSU lore, right? We knocked off a playoff team, and that was the turning point for what FSU is now, would say an FSU fan in 2025, 26, when they're back in the mix. I never said Clemson was going to lose that game. I picked Clemson to win that game. I just picked FSU to cover. There's a difference, right? But if you are a Clemson fan telling me that you aren't sweating that game just a little bit late, I'll be impressed. Finishing football games is what you have to do if you want to win a championship. They've had some games they have. they've had some games that they haven't. That game, Florida State scores 14 unanswered late in the game. 14 unanswered late in the game. And they make it a one-score game. And yes, you feel pretty good if you're in a spot where the other team has to make, and keep in mind, even if they don't convert the onside kick, Clemson has to get a first down to be able to run out the clock, right? If FSU can hold you to a 3-and-out there, they're going to get the ball back. No timeouts, but with 45 seconds left to play to go down and get the touchdown. Something they had done twice in the very recent history of that football game. Clemson won the game. They were supposed to win the game. They won the game by more points than Vegas expected them to win the game by. All of that is good. But you got to finish the game. You got to finish the game. Texter says, Rob, I'm a Clemson fan. I was definitely nervous at the end of that game. My Tigers have to find a way to finish games. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You have to find a way to finish that game, not let FSU back into it. Because if FSU gets back into it, I don't know that there's another team on the schedule. Although, Lonzo, we were giving Syracuse hell last week. Maybe they're not bad. Maybe Dino's got that team pointed in the right direction because Syracuse is now 6-0 and knocked off NC State. That's not a nobody win for the Orange. Is Syracuse better than FSU right now?
If you're not a very good conference and everyone's pretty bad, then it can be entertaining and make you look good. If you're better than everyone else, it's not very good. Just not buying it. Clemson's still the cream of the crop in the ACC. There are no other teams in the ACC. Clemson is the ACC.
I mean, Wake had them. Could have won that game in overtime. NC State fell by 10 in a game that was closer than that. Florida State is a one-score game. I don't disagree.
It's like
Clemson,
a cat playing with its food. And yes, I understand what it sounds like. But yes.
Clemson is the banner holder for the ACC. I am not arguing that. Nobody with a modicum of sense would say anybody but Clemson holds the banner for the ACC. I agree. But one of two things is true. Either the ACC is better than they're giving credit for, and they've caught up to Clemson a little bit, or Clemson's not as good as we think they are, despite the fact that they're putting up 40-ish a game. One of those two things is true. But is it the ACC is better or Clemson is not as good as we thought?
I'm hearing hosts, I think, even on this station saying Clemson is like the best in all of football.
Oh, I ain't one of them, just so we're clear.
Yeah, we're realistic.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll pick up that conversation. Clemson fans, how do you feel about your team right now versus Georgia, Ohio State, hell, Tennessee? We got to talk about that Tennessee-Alabama game, too. What a fantastic football game that was. All that more coming up in the second hour of the Rob Brown Show. Rob Alonzo and you. It's the Fan Upstate.
Where you'll get all Clemson all the time.
Tonight at 7:30, the NFL plays here on the Fan Upstate. If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Macker, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and save you money. A team of tax attorneys we have put together a highly trained, this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge no dime up front. A simple share percentage of the cash will be get to you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that put PPP, nonprofits, and even those that increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports. At Ingalls, we know the ever-present struggle of what are you going to make for dinner this week? That's why we started the Ingalls Table. It's a website that brings the best chefs and food experts right into your kitchen. You can sort through hundreds of recipes for every occasion, watch how-to videos, and print shopping lists to take to the store. It's all waiting for you at eagles-markets.com. Eagles, low prices, love the savings.
That World Haunted Attraction is now open. Come experience South Carolina's #1 haunted attraction. Located in Piedmont off I-85 exit 35. Buy tickets now at MadWorldAttractions.com. This piece is sponsored by Indeed. As the leads change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
What was your off-season mentality? I mean, it's still off-season, obviously, but what was the off-season mentality for DJ Uiagalelei heading towards 2022?
Man, the off-season mentality is, man, I don't want to have another season like we did last year. Not the season was a disappointment or anything, but for me, it wasn't the season I envisioned for. So for me, I want to do everything possible to make myself the best person for my team, best teammate, put myself in the best position to be able to win the championship.
I found a game on Game Pass called Chivalry 2.
Yeah, that's a game that that we've discussed this a little bit. That my friend Matt, who might be listening right now, keeps sending me a message wanting to play it, but he sends it to me like right as I'm getting ready to get off. And he's one of those guys, once you start playing with, expects you to play for a couple hours, and I just can't hang. So I know what it is.
I love it. I love it. It's a for those of you who don't know what we're talking about and care, it is a medieval, it's like medieval Call of Duty.
Have
right?
you piked anyone's skull yet with it?
No, but I've
lance?
lobbed some off with a poleaxe.
Because on the trailer it shows someone on a horse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've only been playing the multiplayer version, which is like 24 on 24 medieval combat, swords and shields and crossbows and arrows, and it's been a freaking blast, dude.
So do you respawn like any other?
Mhm.
Okay.
Both sides have X amount of reinforcements. So when you die, you become a reinforcement and you just respawn in. And there are full-scale battles where it's like whoever runs out of reinforcements loses. And then there's objectives like protect the siege machine as you try to move towards a castle wall. It's a lot of fun.
Usually he only wants me to play games so he can destroy me in them. So that's also a factor into me.
Again,
not wanting...
I suck at every video game, but it's fun.
I don't know. This is the friend who will talk stuff the entire time he's destroying you, but also build himself down before you play. Well, I'm not really good at it. You know, you really got a good shot at this, that kind of thing. And I just,
No, I'm genuinely terrible. And I own that.
I played some things like that. They are pretty fun, but after a while, I get tired of getting my butt whipped, I think. QC in the first break.
10-4. Hour numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to be with you. I am Rob Brown. Across the metaphorical glass from me, playing hurt, but like a champion nonetheless, the great one, Lonzo Reitzel's here as well. Be a part of the radio broadcast, won't you? Phone line's open for you, 844-FAN, phone 844-326-3663. Can also hit us up on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307. Give us a buzz, jump on the air with us. I got a very interesting email during the break here, Zoe, from the big boss down the hall.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm sure credit will be taken elsewhere, though.
I'm sure it will.
Yes. This is all because of us.
That's fine.
Celebrate us, not, celebrate the whole team.
Acknowledge me.
Exactly.
I am going to take quite a bit of credit for it here as well, as is Lonzo, as should we all, because it's a phenomenal effort. How about this, ladies and gentlemen? Last month, the Fan Upstate generated just a touch shy of 1 million social media interactions. 1 million social media interactions across our social media platforms. You guys, I have told you how many times. You're not going to find a lot of hosts who are going to tell you this. You guys have a ridiculous amount of control over what gets brought up, talked about, covered, etc. on this station and on every station. You guys have more influence, more control than you think you do. And that is a massive part of it. When I told you guys that they track what you interact with, and I'm not just talking about when you have your radio on, but I'm talking about what you interact with, when you interact with a host, when you send in a text.
Hey, shout out to the Armada, because when you participate on a show like this, Steven, James, all you guys, that goes into this.
100%. 100%. When I tell you that they track everything you guys do, not just when your radio's on and what it's on, but I'm talking about when you interact with a social media post, when you interact with the host via text, via call, via email. I'm talking about when you come out to remotes, etc. They log every one of those interactions, right? And when I say social media posts, they log every time that you guys send a message into our stream chat, that you guys comment on your thoughts on a Facebook post or send us a tweet in response to one of ours or whatever. Every one of those things is tracked by corporate. And they can break it down to the numbers, to the demos, who's texting or tweeting or commenting on social and when, what time, etc. So what you like, interact with it. How many times have I told you that? If you like this show, interact with us. If you like Offsides, interact with them. If you like Rome, if you like DA, if you like any of them, interact with us. Now, here's the thing. I read an article this morning, and I want you guys' opinion on this. I know I've kind of asked this in different ways over the years, but I was reading a column this morning that I found very, very interesting, right? Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole in the face. We all remember that. Superman punched him, right? Colin Cowherd, who is on, FS1 now, I think. Colin had a response to that I was very interested in, right? Now, I'm not a Colin Cowherd guy. Mark loves the guy, all right? It's not my style, not my flavor. And that's okay. Everybody's got a different taste. Colin Cowherd came out after it happened. Now, keep in mind, about 2 years ago, Colin Cowherd was starting fights with Draymond Green. Could not start fights with that guy fast enough. Why? Because Draymond reacts, right? Could not start. Well, this happened. And there is not a normal person in my life, not a normal person in my life that I talked to about that Superman punch to the face, Zoe, that went, oh, you know what happens. Like, no. No. Somebody jumping up and Superman punching a dude in the chin does not just happen unless there is a bell and a referee involved.
I think the form of the punch and the strength of the punch and all that, it just added to all that. It shouldn't be, but it was pretty. And
It was a great punch.
It really was. And I think if it was some sloppy basketball fight punch, it wouldn't be as big of a deal as it was.
I don't know, dude. Cold cocking your own teammate across the jaw is nearly universally frowned down upon, right? Like I have, let me put it this way. In the 2 weeks since it's happened? In the 2 weeks since it's happened, I haven't come across anybody saying, yeah, I saw that one coming. Yeah, that's fine, except Colin Cowherd, right? Except Colin, who said, oh, in practice, you get guys with hot tempers in a high level of competition, and these things happen. It's not that big a deal. These things, I'm like, dude, Colin, does it? Name me another time that in a preseason, a dude just cold cocked another dude on his team. Fights happen between teams in preseason all the time. Hell, in the NFL, I'm not making this up, Zoe. In the NFL, in Vegas preseason, some books will let you make a bet on whether or not two teams will have a preseason fight when they have joint practices together. You can go to Vegas and slip money in the window and win money back by betting on if two teams will have a preseason practice fight. But what you don't see often is a brawl, and especially not a sucker punch court. Now, I'm not saying it never happens. It does happen. But in just about every other sport, it's for the most part universally frowned upon, right? Like universally frowned upon. And again, most everybody that I spoke with who cares about sports had something to say along the lines of, it's not okay. It's not acceptable, right? Draymond's got to be punished for this. Except Colin, who came out and said, not a big deal. It's competition, right? The juices are flowing. It's practice. Like, of course it's going to happen. Except for the same Colin Cowherd who used to dress down Draymond Green all the time and is now his most fervent defender. Colin Cowherd has recently started a podcast network, right? And guess who just moved their podcast onto Colin's podcast network? Draymond Green, right? Colin Cowherd now has a vested interest in Draymond Green.
Hold on. Colin Cowherd is held in such esteem by some people and integrity and all that kind of fancy stuff that there's no way that he's putting money in front of his take.
So I was reading a write-up from another broadcaster. I was reading a write-up from another broadcaster earlier today who was kind of breaking that down, right? Who was kind of talking about that from the standpoint of Cowherd used to be the first guy in line to attack Draymond when Draymond got out of line. And let's be real, Draymond Green's been out of line a lot during his NBA career, but he's very good. Colin Cowherd used to say something to the tune of, Draymond Green's value to the Golden State Warriors is minimal, right? Like, he's a great defender, but statistically speaking, when Draymond's on the floor, they're not a significantly better team than when he's off. That money would be best invested elsewhere. And now Colin Cowherd's like, oh no, this guy is the franchise, right? Like, it's him and it's the shooty one. Those are the guys that make up this franchise. Now that Draymond Green is working under Colin Cowherd's podcast network and helping to make his money. And this guy that wrote this article did a really good job of breaking that down and like quoting old Colin versus new Colin about Cowherd. And I would like to be abundantly clear before I move on to the question that stemmed in my brain after I read that. I would like to say this. Changing your mind is fine. Not only is it fine, it's good. You should. When presented with new facts and evidence and data, you should be willing to change your mind about any and everything. There should be no core belief that is so deeply ingrained in you that if someone can prove it to be false, you are unwilling to separate from it, right? It may hurt, it may sting, but you should have no core belief that is so ingrained in you that you are unwilling to separate from it if it is proven false, right? That's my philosophy. Colin Cowherd has the right to change his mind on Draymond Green. Just like I have had the right to change my mind on a lot of other players and teams and people over the years. Biggest, most illustrious example, Joe Paterno. I used to worship Joe Paterno, metaphorically speaking. I used to love Joe Pa, and then everything that happened at Penn State came out. Now I got nothing for Joe Paterno but disdain, right? Nothing. I got no respect for that guy. None at all. You should have the ability to change your mind. Changing your mind is a good thing. But Colin Cowherd also has to understand that criticisms when you change your mind are fair and valid, 100%. And when it certainly on the surface appears to me that Colin Cowherd changed his stance on Draymond Green, not because Draymond did anything that genuinely made Colin change his mind, but because now Draymond Green is a business partner of Colin Cowherd's. And I get it, but it certainly appears to me like Colin Cowherd changed his mind because he's making more money to do it. And I get that. I respect that. How many times have I told you guys, I am and have always been a New Orleans Saints fan. And as divisional rivals, couldn't stand the Carolina Panthers. Now, I get paid money, extra money, to talk about them. I'm a fan now. And I am very open, I think, and I think anybody who's listening to me knows this. I am very open about the fact that I am a hired fan of the Carolina Panthers and the Clemson Tigers and the Gamecocks of South Carolina and the Carolina Hurricanes and the Charlotte Hornets. I am a paid fan. My fandom is a financial interest. And I got no problem being open and honest about that, right? I don't know if Colin does. But here is the question, and this is why I am happy to acknowledge that I am a paid fan of the Panthers, a paid fan of the Tigers, of the Gamecocks, of the Hornets, of the Hurricanes. The reason I admit that is because it's true. And it is authentic, right? Because it is authentic. Through this guy's column that he wrote about Cowherd kind of changing his stance on Draymond now that he and Draymond are in business together, he wrote this sentence to open a paragraph. Quote, and by the way, to give you some background, the guy who wrote this is a sports talk radio expert, analyst, opinion maker, etc. Right? It's what he does. It comes from Barrett Sports Media. You've probably heard of Barrett before because both Mark and myself and a lot of other folks that you guys know are members of Barrett Sports Media. But I thought the guy who wrote this article had an interesting paragraph, and I'm just going to read you the opening sentence. It's very short. He said, quote, well, in the context of talking about sports radio, sports media intake, he said, quote, increasingly, people value authenticity, end quote. Increasingly, people value authenticity, right? Now, there's a guy on Twitter who goes by the handle Big Game Boomer. You've probably seen this cat pop up on your Twitter timeline sometimes. I filled in for Diesel on Mark's show 6-8 months ago when Diesel was out on vacation. This guy on Twitter has gotten very, very popular because he comes up with these lists, right? He'll write like best college stadium to see an upset in, and then he just makes up a list. And it gets a ton of attention because within that, and I've narrowed the formula down, within that, he puts like 2 or 3 very clear, nobody thinks these people or teams or stadiums or whatever deserve to be there on the list to anger people who then respond to him. I can't stand it. It's subpar trolling, all right, is what it is. Well, Mark had this cat on his show about 6 months ago, and it happened to be on a day I was filling in. And I don't remember what the topic was. But Mark asked him a question about a chart they had come up with. And somehow LSU was involved. And I read through it, and I'm like, this is wrong. And I called him out on the air, right? I called him out on the air. I'm like, well, you put LSU on your list because of this, this, and this. But you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this, and here's the facts about that. And he's like, well, I just feel that way. I'm like, right, but I'm telling you your feeling is wrong. Are you willing to change that? And Mark was like, dude, you really came at that guy. I'm like, yeah, because he's a troll. He's fake. He's a fraud. All right? He's fake. Diesel got on me because he's like, dude, it's entertainment, right? It's entertainment. And I understand that. I agree with that. We are all entertainers. But does the sentence, increasingly, people value authenticity when it comes to sports media, does that strike you as true or false? For you as an individual. Does it strike you as true or false? Zoe, are you more likely to pay attention to a show where the host crafts hot takes, or are you more likely to listen to a show where even if maybe he doesn't have the hot takes, the host is genuine and authentic?
All right, so I know who my favorite sports shows are. Dan Patrick is always going to be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I couldn't think of his name earlier, McAfee, because I'm not feeling well. And those are like similar but different as far as their approaches, but they're entertaining. But at the same time, if they don't know on McAfee, McAfee says all the time, I don't know what I'm talking about. We have no idea why we're here. If he's given an opinion, he's given an opinion. Dan Patrick says something. I'm usually pretty confident that he did all the homework, the research, and he's giving you facts that are maybe not 100%, but as close to it as he possibly can. I don't like Cowherd because he's given opinions. That's why people are there. But I have seen him give so many opinions that he won't defend when it's wrong. He'll just move on to something else. And dude makes a lot of money. So what he's doing is working for some people, but it's just not for me.
So I'm the same boat. And in fact, I was having a conversation with Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Fan out of Atlanta. We've had him on. We talk Falcons. We talk Braves baseball with him. And he responded to me. And he's like, dude, I look at those people the same way I look at actors, right? Like when I'm watching a TV show. Like when I'm watching wrestling and the bad guy comes out and he says things that I don't like. I dislike that bad guy. But the guy playing him, I don't have any problem with that, right? Like when the bad guy comes out and
unless he actually is a punk in real life,
right? Like when LA Knight comes out and he's standing in New Orleans and he calls all the people there swamp dwelling incels. Do I like that as a guy from Louisiana? No. Do I have an issue when I fight LA Knight, the real guy? No, because he's an actor and I get it. And I try to put that kind of into perspective a little bit. So, like on that hand, it is entertainment. On the other hand, I can't do it when I'm on the air. I could craft some gnarly hot takes about Clemson, Florida State to paint Clemson in a bad light, right? But I don't. My honest take was you won the game. You won it by more than Vegas predicted you to. DJ looked good. Again, suck it, haters, right? But you didn't finish that game strong. You did not finish the game in a way that convinces me you would be able to do it if you got into a shootout with Georgia. You did not do it in a way that convinces me that you would be able to finish off the Buckeyes if you got into an offensive shootout with Ohio State. You didn't do it in a way that I think you would be able to run late in a game if you were all square with Tennessee and Hendon Hooker was on the field instead of Jordan Travis, right? That's not a hot take. That's what I saw. I could craft some hella hot takes for you, but I got no interest in doing that. So my question is, do you prefer that or do you just write it off and go, it's entertainment? I'm curious. It's really just about me. I'm curious. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got to get into a little bit of talk about the Carolina Panthers because I said on the Carolina kickoff that I was hosting for Diesel yesterday alongside my man Diddy. I said I never expected to win yesterday. What I did expect was for the guys to prove that they wanted to be there and for the guys who didn't want to be there to prove that they don't. Yesterday, I expected we would see some guys that were out there going, I want to make this franchise better, and some guys that go, I would rather do it somewhere else. And I think we got to get a pretty good idea of who's in what group. We'll talk about that next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, got to read. Stay right there. We will be right back.
Cooper Kupp led the way with 7 catches for 80 yards. Meanwhile, for Carolina, P.J. Walker, who started at quarterback, left the game with a neck injury, threw for 60 yards playing into the fourth quarter. Jacob Easton off the practice squad, 59 yards and an interception. Christian McCaffrey had a big day, though, 69 yards rushing, 7 catches for 89 yards, a total of 158 yards. The Panthers fall to 1-5 on the season. I'm Jim Duffy on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
Monday night's games, he's Russell Wilson and the Broncos visiting the Chargers. So here's a couple of trends worth considering when betting this game. Nobody has been worse against the AFC West than the Broncos. They have lost an astounding 10 of 11 games against AFC West teams in the past 8 years. Also, the Broncos are 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 road games. Justin Herbert, the Chargers, and the points look like a great bet. I'm Tristan Crick, helping you.
They're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Granger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, clickgranger.com, or just stop by. Granger, we're the ones who get it done.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? Selling high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
For you and Steven, I did finish She-Hulk.
No, never at Fisher.
Um, Kevin was hilarious.
I enjoyed the finale. I thought it was pretty
I
good.
did too.
Yeah.
It was different. It was unlike anything else. Super meta. I loved it.
I loved when she broke through the Disney screen thing. I thought that was
So did I.
That was really good.
Thought it was hilarious.
By the way, that writer's room, those are all actually the writers.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was funny. It was very Deadpool-y, and I'm interested to see how they work that into the MCU if they do plan on introducing Daredevil and She-Hulk into the movies.
I didn't like Scar's look, but you know,
He looked like an angsty teenage Hulk. I
Yeah.
was here for it.
yeah.
That's what an angsty teenager looks like today. It's not what they look like when they introduced Scar. Courtney did not understand why I lost my mind when Hulk walked in and he's like, I've got some news. And I just like sat back in the couch. I'm like, is Scar going to show up? And she didn't know who it was.
James is right. When she mentioned X-Men and then she looked at the screen and put the
Chris,
thumbs
so
up.
good.
Yeah.
So good. And I loved him going, we need you to transform back because of the budget, but wait till the camera's not pointed at you. Panthers Rams yesterday went pretty much exactly how I expected it to. Carolina's defense, once again, was the only bright spot on that team. Carolina's offense was inept, as I would expect it to be when your third and then fourth string quarterbacks. I didn't know Jacob Eastman was still in the league, and it turns out he's on the team I cover.
They had they just pulled him up from practice squad, I
That makes
believe.
sense. Yeah. Makes sense. So it went exactly how I expected it would go when your fourth string quarterback has to play a chunk of the game. You're not going to have a ton of offense. The defense is expected to be the bright spot, even without Phil Snow, who I do not think had as much of an impact as a play caller as a lot of people think he did. What I expected out of this game, and if you missed it, I filled in for Diesel on the Carolina Kickoff Show yesterday on Classic Rock 101.1, which airs 2 hours before every single Carolina football game. And I was on with Diddy, and I told Diddy, and Diddy agreed with me, as did the few folks who texted and called the show. I told Diddy, I said, look, this one's easy to me. We're not going to win this game. We're a 10-point dog, and I put money on LA to cover, which they did. What I expected was to see, by the end of that day, two groups. I didn't know which was going to be bigger. I frankly didn't care. I just wanted it separated. There was going to be one group of guys who showed that they wanted to be there, that they wanted to fight, that whatever the next generation of Carolina Panther football looks like, that they wanted to be the foundation that is laid, right? And there were a few guys I really hoped would be in that group. I'd hoped Derek Brown would be in that group. I had hoped Brian Burns would be in that group. I had hoped that Yetur Gross-Matos would be in that group. There was a group of guys I wanted in that group, but like I've said a million times and a million times again, none of us work for free, right? We don't work for free. And I will never fault a person for taking a better opportunity to advance themselves. Please forgive my millennialism here, but you are viewed by most corporations as expendable, replaceable, right? Expendable and replaceable. Carolina is about to have a metamorphosis. Into what? We don't know. We don't know. I don't know what the next generation of Panther football looks like. I think as fans, we can and should all be optimistic, right? We should be. We're getting a new head coach. Is it Steve Wilkes? I don't know. Is it somebody else? I don't know. But you hope that you get your Brian Daboll hiring, right? You hope you have the hiring the Giants have had. You hope that you get your Nick Sirianni hiring. We see what the Eagles are doing right now. You hope that you get the right guy. And I think it's fair to be optimistic if you are a Panther fan right now. You should be. But the foundation of players is important as the coach itself. Like I said, I got a list of guys I hope are part of the next generation of Panther success. Burns, Brown, etc. Xavier Woods, Jeremy Chin. I got a group of guys I don't think are going to be a part of it. Christian McCaffrey's on that list. Not because I think McCaffrey does or doesn't want to be there. In fact, I read the comments because one of the reporters in the post-game presser asked McCaffrey to his face, hey, how do you feel about all of the rumors? And what's he say? You know, at the end of the day, it's out of my control. All I can do is come in here and be the best Carolina Panther I can be until I'm not a Carolina Panther anymore. That sounds like a dude who sees the writing on the wall. McCaffrey is more valuable as a trade pick than he is as a running back because the rebuild probably takes a season or two. Reality, right? But I wanted to see, a team that had fight in it, and I think for the most part we saw that, and I wanted to see, B, the guys who want to be a part of that fight show up and the guys who don't walk out. Robbie Anderson got the boot, got sent to the locker room by his own team, and it wasn't because of his play, okay? It wasn't because of his play. It was because of the attitude. Now, do I want a wide receiver with a little fight, with a little flair? You're damn right I do, right? I want you to think about the best receivers of all time. And outside of Jerry Rice, a lot of them got a little bit of that diva attitude to them. It's like Jerry Rice and Calvin Johnson are the two that didn't. Everybody else had a little bit of diva to them. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is when the head coach says, I don't care if it's third down, get off the field, you go, man, I hate it, but I get it. Not walking over and getting into a shouting match on the sideline with your wide receiver coach. And once you get yanked on third down, you know, if I get pulled off the air, Lonzo, my first question is, why? And I might be mad about it, but my first question is, why? And my second question is, what can I do to prevent this from happening again, right? Do you feel like Robbie Anderson had an attitude of, what can I do to create a situation where I'm too valuable to get pulled off the field on third down when we're throwing the ball? No. Robbie got up into his fifis, and he walked to the sideline, and he put on his hat, and he yelled at his receiver coach, and then he sat by himself. He just sat on a Gatorade cooler. You know, the way that a petulant child might when he doesn't get what he wants.
Or Tom Brady.
Or Tom Brady.
Yeah, or Tom Brady.
When he doesn't get what he wants. The wide receivers are all bunched up on the bench. They're with the position coach. He's got the tablet. He's coming up with the schemes. All right, boys, on the next 3rd and short, we're going to run this play, and instead of running this route, I want you to change it to this one. They got the quarterbacks over there. They're running through what the sets look like. Is wide receiver Robbie Anderson standing there, watching, learning, taking it in, getting better? No. He's throwing a temper tantrum, sitting on a Gatorade cooler off to the side by himself, not participating, not being involved. Well, Robbie Anderson decided that he was going to answer that on Twitter at Chosen1RA. One of the NFL net reporters put up a picture of Robbie. Dove Kleiman put up a picture of Robbie sitting, on the Gatorade cooler off to the side. In fact, if you are not watching right now, I will invite you to watch the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitch. There's a picture that Kleiman put up on Twitter. And in the picture, you will see in the bottom left corner of the picture, the whole wide receiver bunch sitting together on the bench. You'll see 3 coaches down in front of them, tablets and notebooks in hand, going over schemes, going over plays, going over routes, whatever they're going over. And then in the top of that very same picture, there's Robbie Anderson. And what is Robbie Anderson doing in this picture? He's sitting on a Gatorade cooler. He's just staring off into space. He's got his hat on. He's got his hands crossed in front of him. Lonzo, does that look like the posture and attitude? And I understand you can get yourself into trouble reading too deep into body language, but you've been there. You've done that. You've been a manager. Does that look like the posture of a guy displaying an attitude of, I want to fix this and get better?
No, it doesn't. But I think you could also look at it that maybe he was just trying to keep himself away from the guy who he's having conflict with, the guy who's having, arguments with. Of course, he doesn't stay away from him forever because he comes back and says something else, and that's what gets him kicked out.
Yup.
But maybe he's just trying to cool off over there.
And I was going to say, that's the attitude I would have had if he didn't get into another fight with that same position coach and get escorted off the field by his head coach, right? That's the attitude I would have taken. Lonzo, I get where you're coming from. You and I last Friday, had I don't know, what would you call it?
I wasn't a fight.
It wasn't a fight.
It's a disagreement.
A disagreement. You and a guy had a disagreement about something. And what did we do when we realized we had a disagreement? Because you thought it should be handled one way and I thought it should be handled. What did we do?
We had a discussion.
We sat right here in these chairs. We sat in the office and we went, all right, how do we fix it? How do we come to a conclusion? And what happened? We landed on the same page and we got it together and the problem got a solution found by Lonzo. We found a solution. We took care of business and what needed to get done so that when we walked in here on Monday, we could focus on the damn show and getting me to be able to wear that red sequin jacket next year. That's what we did. Is that what Robbie and his position coach did? No. Robbie got an attitude. Robbie decided it wasn't the way he wanted it, so he flipped. You know what Robbie did? Robbie told Rob Brown and the rest of y'all as Panthers fans, I assume, that Robbie Anderson does not want to be a part of whatever the next generation of Panther football looks like. All this year is for is twofold. It is, number one, to determine who wants to be a part of the future, to find out if Steve Wilkes is the guy or if the Panthers need to look elsewhere, and to use what is effectively a season full of practice games to figure out what are the strongest areas of need for next year. That's all this season is. Robbie Anderson, as far as I am concerned, just proved to me that he does not want to be a part of it. He doesn't want to be a part of it. Robbie Anderson thinks that Robbie Anderson can do better elsewhere. And that's fine. I get it. Again, if you don't want to be a part of a rebuild, I understand that. I know a lot of people who have no interest in working for startups or working for companies that are getting their feet under them, etc. They want guarantees. There's no guarantees in Carolina right now. There is no guarantee that Wilkes is the guy. There is no guarantee that the next guy will be the guy. There is no guarantee that any of these cats, both figuratively and literally, are going to be cats next year, right? There is no guarantee. There are some guys I think are more likely to stick around. DJ Moore, you're good. You're locked in for him. Brian Burns has got another couple of years. He's not going anywhere, more than likely. Derek Brown, you just drafted the guy a couple of years ago. He's not going anywhere, more than likely. But I also want guys who want to be there. Not just guys that it's like, I can't go anywhere because of the contract. Guys who want to be there. Robbie Anderson was not that guy. He was not that guy. He was not the guy who went, all right, not the call. I don't like it. I don't like not being out there. I don't like having my opportunity to shine. So instead, I'm going to go pout like a beep over on the sideline. I'm going to go pout and get into a fight with my position coach and have words from my head coach so that I get kicked off the field. Like Antonio Brown. There's not a guy you want to be involved with. The last guy to get kicked off the field that I remember was Antonio freaking Brown. Is that the type of cat you want to be? Now, I saw a lot of people bagging on Robbie Anderson because of the chosen one handle and all that. I don't care about any of that, all right? I don't care about any of that. You call yourself whatever you want to call yourself as long as you're producing. But you're not, dude. You're not. And don't get me wrong, I'm not even mad about the numbers, though, because Baker Mayfield has been pedestrian at best. PJ Walker and the other guy that were playing quarterback this weekend, you're not going to have Pro Bowl numbers with those guys at quarterbacks. I don't care if it's Devontae Adams over there. You're not getting those numbers. What I do care about is, are you invested? Are you being a part of the team? Are you working to figure out, okay, why am I not on the field for third down? And what can I do better to make sure that I am for the next third down? We went, Zoe, almost 2 full quarters without a first down. We got a first down midway through the first quarter. We didn't get our next one until deep in the third. That is bad. Robbie should be figured out why. What can I do to help? What can I do better? What can I improve on? Instead, we got this video of him pitching a fit, sitting on a cooler away from the team. Couldn't even sit on the bench. Why? Because if he sat on the bench, he'd be around other players. No, Robin needed to be by himself, right? Isn't that exactly the criticism that so many Panthers had for Cam Newton, right? You know what the difference was? Cam produced. Cam produced. Robbie retweeted that picture and said, in my zone, staying focused on the game. I love to play. Ain't no I had in a assigned seat. Y'all trying too hard with this. No, Robbie. It's not an assigned seat.
That part's kind of funny. You got a assigned seat. I know you're being serious, but it's that part's kind of funny.
I get it. You don't have an assigned seat, Robbie. You're right. You're right. You don't have an assigned seat. You know what you do have? An assigned position coach. An assigned group, a group of guys that are your teammates, a group of guys that are in the same position as you, and a group of guys that you should want to be around so that you can go, how the hell do we fix what's wrong right now? Not an assigned ass cooler.
I do hate that there's a double standard, especially in football. If it's a winning team, that dude's just passionate.
Yeah.
But since it's a losing team, he's got an attitude problem.
It's the same with production for an individual player, right? Let's put it this way. If Christian McCaffrey got upset and the picture was of CMC sitting on a cooler by himself, not by the running backs, you know how many people would care? Not me. Not many. But why is that? Because CMC is producing. CMC is getting you yards. He's getting you touchdowns. He's not getting you touchdowns, but he's getting you numbers. He is doing what he needs to do. It's Tom Brady. How many times have we seen an image of Tom Brady sitting by himself on a bench, not involved with anybody else? A lot. Do people get mad at that? Not really. Not except Brady haters. Not really. Why? Because up until this year, when they lost to the Steelers 20-18, Tom Brady produces. Lonzo, it's the same in every other job. We go back to the same situation. There are people in this building who can get away with a hell of a lot more than you and I can. Why? Because they got numbers. Because they've got production. Because they've got stuff that they can put on the table and go, here's what I'm bringing to the table. What has Robbie produced for this team so far this year? 175-yard catch. And then what? Less than 200 receiving yards on the year so far? That ain't production, my guy. It's just not. It's just not. Is there a double standard? Yes. If the team's really good, nobody cares. If the Panthers were 5-1, Lonzo, instead of 1-5, this isn't a topic of conversation. Of course not. If the Panthers were 1-5, but Robbie Anderson was at 600 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, I wouldn't care. Fine, dude. You're doing everything you can do for this team. I get it. But they are 1-5, and you are not doing that. That's where it comes from.
I'm not trying to defend him because I think he handled it the wrong way.
Sure.
But all those things that you mentioned about stats, and there's only one guy on that offense that has any stats. Everybody else, it's a struggle, and it does come back to the quarterback position without a doubt. But, there are other guys on there that aren't throwing fits because they're not getting their numbers because no one's getting any numbers except for McCaffrey.
I agree. And none of those guys are doing
And
what Robbie Anderson did.
by the way, McCaffrey's earning every bit he gets.
Hell yeah. And when CMC gets traded and gets an extension somewhere else to do the same thing on a better team, I'm not going to be mad at him for it, right? When Carolina trades McCaffrey, because it's happening, I'm just go ahead and warn you. When it happens, I'm not going to be mad at CMC for it, right? He's doing everything he can do right now, no doubt about it. You're right, Zoe. You're right. Nobody, but the point is, nobody but Robbie is doing this. Does DJ Moore have a right to be upset about the production he's able to generate in this stagnant offense? No. Where was DJ in that picture? On the bench with his coaches, with his boys, learning, getting better, growing, adjusting. Where was TMJ with them? Where was Shy? Shy dropped the ball in the first drive that I think he could have picked. I think he could have sixed. And what did he do? Came back out 2 plays later and made a catch.
Yeah, and that drop ball, they were moving.
They were moving.
That was the first flaw in that drive.
He had the whole caravan of boys out front of him on that screen. He would have sixed that if he'd have caught it. But what did he do? He made a mistake. He turned his eyes up the field and turned his head too early. That, when Shy's on that bench learning, getting better, adjusting, that's the guy I want on this team, not Robbie Anderson. Let's take a break because we are way off the clock. My bad. Me, you, Lonzo, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Oops.
That's on me.
No, it's not.
I looked at 41 and I'm like, wrap it up. And then I didn't do that.
We can still come back for a couple minutes. We'll be all right.
Okay. All right, grab something from the office. I will be right back. Actually, there.
Technology lets autonomous vacuums work around the house.
These are words that make me
But when your team has to work seamlessly around the world, you need more than technology. You need CDW, who can help transform your organization with Lenovo ThinkPads. Pre-configured for management flexibility with the Intel Evo platform. Responsive collaboration tools give your team effortless connectivity to stay focused wherever they work. Test it. Go to your charging station. Lenovo makes seamless productivity possible. CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/Lenovo Client.
dancing crew, trip for two,
Nailed the final interview. Game done. And we won. Come on, kid. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. Boosters designed for COVID-19 variants are now available. If you've had your primary series, schedule an update. COVID-19.
Yeah, they're already starting to leave, Steven. We dropped a ton right after you typed that. Or maybe it's just because Rob left the room.
Dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens Financial Coverage. Let you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. They make your shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low cost co-pays. I can get down with that. Manage your annual enrollment in September 7th. Find a plan that's right for you at walgreens.com/petcare.
Charging a cell phone can be like getting a booster shot. A booster is given to enhance or restore protection after a primary series vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when you are eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
The King Mama Brown Show.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Who did you think had fight for the Panthers yesterday?
McCaffrey for sure.
McCaffrey for sure.
Derek
Brown.
I thought the defense played pretty well, especially early on in the game. But
without J.C. Horn, without Xavier Woods, without some starters, the defense still played well. I agree. Now, granted, they gave up 24 to a team that had been averaging 16, but they averaged 16. They've gotten into the 20s once or twice. The Rams aren't great right now. They're what? They're back to 500. They're 3-3 now, right? But there were some defenders that had fight. There were a couple of offensive players. So I thought Shi Smith fought through a little adversity early in that game. But I also think we saw some guys who don't need to be a part of whatever's going to happen next. That's my only point. Views from Mint Street. Make sure you download and subscribe wherever major podcasts are found. Lonzo and I will be cutting a new episode about this game that is going to drop this afternoon. Get the early jump on it by going to Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple iTunes, or free on the Odyssey app and downloading and subscribing the Views from Mint Street podcast where major podcasts are found. Let's run out. We'll come back. Hour number 3. Boy, howdy, do we have some NFL football to talk about, and what a great weekend of college ball. All football, the third hour on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I gotta try to go to the restaurant.
Yeah, Roger. I don't know why. I was just trying to get it on my smart speaker in the office, and for whatever reason, I've already submitted a ticket to get whatever's keeping us off the smart speaker fixed. Some people it's working for, some people it's not. We're working on getting it fixed. It should be working on the Odyssey app, though. So if you don't have the Odyssey app, that would be a good way to pick it up. Or just hang out with us here on the stream every day. That's why we do it.
You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/radio.
Come when you don't feel well, every part of you feels heavier.
Struggle is very real for Lonzo today.
Palmetto State Home Mortgage. For over 21 years, Sean's philosophy was and still is to say yes when others say no. They specialize in FHA, USDA, conventional loans, and 100% financing for people.
But unlike Robbie Anderson, we fight through adversity on this show.
Although if I was required to do anything other than pretty much this, there's no way I could do it. So there's that.
You good for the pot, or you want to push it back?
I can do it. I mean, you're not going to get much more than what you're getting from me now on the show. I'm sorry.
You're good.
I guess we went early.
That's why Founders offers low balance transfer rates on all their credit cards. Get the most out of your credit card. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc to apply and save today. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualifications required. Federally insured by NCUA.
Have you heard the Ron Brown Show? It's Nick Saban Day, and somebody asked him what his super special hidden talent is. And his answer is, I clean the house good. Does it bother you that a reporter in a limited time Nick Saban Q&A would ask him, what's your super duper special hidden talent? Some people like their coaches to be looked at as just regular dudes. And then there's other folks that are like, no, man, like you have X amount of time to talk to a man who is getting paid tens of millions of dollars to coach a football team. I want to know about him coaching the football team.
Here's the thing. I think you're missing what the reporter did and what Nick Saban did. For the Alabama fans out there, now washing dishes, roll tide. Wash the windows, roll tide. Cleaning the toilets, roll tide. Taking out the trash, roll tide.
Cleaning the toilet is like Nick Saban, roll tide.
Same great show, new time. Now 19 noon, only on the Fan Upstate. Val's Froyo Palace is dishing out 3 more locations. They need 3 new store managers before they have a meltdown. Indeed can help them hire great people fast. Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description.
Attaboy, Roger. Go get it, young man. Get that bread, son.
I'm jealous of your $1.05.
But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of craft ice from a new LG refrigerator, cooling your drink to perfection, making this the sound of savings on top brand appliances. Final days to save up to $1,212 on this exclusive LG kitchen package with craft ice. Ends October 19th at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Offer out September 29th through October 19th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Mark Ryan tells you what it is.
There is a new video out by Gamecock Football. It's Shane Beamer, and he's meeting with his team in their meeting. And he's got the mission statements: win the turnover battle, run the football, stop the run, win the fourth quarter. And what he says to them is, guys, we're going to take a walk. So they walk from the football building, and they go to Williams-Brice Stadium. And then they walk up to the upper deck, and they're all sitting there. And he says to all of them, Shane Beamer does, that wasn't an easy walk, was it? And they all of them shook their heads no, right? And he said, this is what our fans do. They pay money to come sit here in 100 degrees to watch them play football. I thought it was really well taken. I thought it was a really, really strong message. And it showed kind of the community sense and the community feel that he is bringing to Columbia.
Number 1 for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7.
Gotta say, I don't know what a Series C is, Steven. I have a 1, an X, a 360, and an original. I do have an X. Oh, you say X, not C.
Yeah.
Yes, I have an X. And it does make a difference as far as visuals go and as far as load times go. my children can no longer ridicule me while they're waiting for me to load while they're already in a game.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you for a Monday morning ride. What's happening, y'all? Rob and the great one, Lonzo, with you. You want to be a part of the show? You're welcome to do it. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663 is the phone number to get on the air. Can also text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307. If you want to come at us in that direction, you can tweet us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward, or at The Fan Upstate if you want to get to everybody, and all the social media handles all the way across the board at The Fan Upstate and at The Rob Brown Show if you want to join us for whatever. By the way, just in case, I'm not going to spend more than a minute or two on this, but the lady friend and I got out yesterday and headed downtown for Fall for Greenville. For those of you who maybe don't keep it in perspective, dude, what a great place to live. What a great place to live, man. Like, I will be real with you guys. When I got offered this job and I came up here and did the audition almost 3 years ago now. When I came up here to do the audition, man, I had never really lived outside of a couple of places, most of them in Florida, right? And I was a bit apprehensive. I'm like, dude, I've never lived this far from my family. I've never lived this far from my home. I've never lived this far away from a beach. Man, I'm a little nervous, right? Like, I'm a little nervous. This is a big adventure for me. Dadgum, was that a good call? I was downtown yesterday. By the way, I do have to tell you this real quick. And this is part of the best part about the Upstate's the people, right? The atmosphere and the people. I'm standing in line at Fall for Greenville yesterday waiting for a beer, right? And the beer tent is laid out lengthwise, right? It's a long ways, so you could walk up to anybody standing there and ask them for a beer, and they go grab it for you. So I'm standing in line, except for it's not really like a line. It's not really like a line. Everybody's just kind of like standing around waiting for their call up from one of the vendors. And there's a lady to my right, and she's like, I'm really sorry. I don't know if I'm in line or not. I don't really know where the line is. And I'm like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll figure it out, right? We're all walking out of here with a beer. We're good. And a guy walks up to me in a throwback Jets jersey, like throwback Jets jersey. And he walks up and he's like, is this a line? I'm like, you're a Jets fan. You don't know how to handle directions anyway, right? And he kind of starts laughing. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm just kidding with you. I'm like, hey, your Jets look good. Jets had just finished a 27-10 demolishment of the Green Bay Packers. I'm like, dude, Jets look good. He's like, yeah, my boys are back. Gang green, baby. I'm like, for sure. And then as I'm talking to this guy, another guy turns the corner in his throwback bright green Randall Cunningham Eagles jersey. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by Yankee NFL fans. We all kind of laugh. And the guy stops, the guy in the Jets jersey, and he goes, hey, are you Rob Brown? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, you're my dude. I listen to your show every day. Like, he got really excited. And he goes, Rob Brown, can I get a JETS Jets on the show tomorrow? I was like, I don't know, man. You going to be listening? He goes, yeah, I'm 100% listening. So Mikey from Queens. That's how he introduced it. He goes, hey, I'm Mikey from Queens.
Hey, put your head back before you do it, please. You normally do, but I just want to warn you. I mean, that would be nice for me anyway.
So to Mikey from Queens, who hit me up at Fall for Greenville yesterday, JETS, Jets. How about the Jets, Zoe, going into Lambeau and ransacking A-Rod of the football persuasion? It cost us both a Boo Box Bets pick, but the Jets are for real right now. What is happening?
Yeah, I was just thinking yesterday, I was watching football, that the football world has been turned upside down in the NFL and in college to a certain
It's
degree.
crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, those teams are not supposed to be good. Why are they good? Why are the Jets good? Why are the Giants good? Why is Philadelphia undefeated? What is going on here?
The Jets are good. The Giants are good. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now. What is happening? Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. So Mikey from Queens, good to meet you yesterday, bud. Good to meet you. Enjoy the conversation. And to the cat wearing the Eagles jersey, Mikey points at me. He's like, dude, got to listen to this guy's show. Rob Brown, 9 to noon, 97.7. Got to listen to this guy's show. He's my guy. And the Eagles guy's like, oh, okay, and walks off. Later, dude. Good to meet you. But Mikey from Queens, how about the Jets, Jets, holding Aaron Rodgers to 245, 1 touchdown, and a just barely over 50% completion percentage. And what did they do? Zach Wilson, 10 of 18 for 110, no touches, no picks. But Breece Hall, 20 carries, $116 and a touch. 41 for Carter, and Braxton Berrios, the former Hurricane, 20-yard TD on his 1 touch of the day. Dude, how did the Jets put up 27 when Zach Wilson went for 110, no touches, no picks? Insane, dude. The Jets. And listen, part of this is that the Jets are 4-2. The Jets are pretty good, but the Packers. And don't worry, Green Bay fans, because you weren't the only ones. The Buccaneers went to Pittsburgh. Brady went for 243 and a touch, and the Bucs lost to, by the way, not just a questionable 2-4 Steelers team, 2-4 after the win over Tampa, by the way, but a 2-4 team that lost Kenny Pickett after just 67 yards and a touch and had to turn back to Mitchell Trubisky and didn't have a rusher go over 42 yards and still beat Tampa? The NFL was on drugs yesterday.
And good on Tom Brady for having words of encouragement for members of his team yesterday. The rah-rah speech really worked.
So I saw the clip after I was done with the Carolina kickoff show yesterday, and I got back to the house, right? We're just getting the second window cut, and I'm scrolling social media as I watch the Saints get screwed again, and guy goes, and Tom Brady had some words for his offensive line during the Buccaneers' 2018 loss to the Steelers. And my first thought was like, damn, they lost to Pittsburgh. Dude, the NFC South sucks right now. And my second thought was, why do I feel like Brady wasn't like, come on, guys, we can do this. Block better, you guys. So I go find the clip. And I'm like, I would give $1 to hear what Tom Brady had to say. And I found out very rapidly why they didn't have the sound from Brady's motivational speech, because all I got from the clip from the sideline cam was Brady at one point saying, we won't win if we bleeping play like that, and drop the old macho man F-bomb on him like an elbow drop. We won't win if we bleeping play like that. And it turns out he was right. They played like that and did not win. Brady. Here's the thing. The teams that weren't supposed to win yesterday and did, predominantly Pittsburgh and the Jets, they didn't do anything crazy special, right? Oh, by the way, sorry, let me add another team to that mix. Marcus Mariota. I owe you an edible arrangement.
You owe him a lot, man. You mean the NFC South leading Atlanta Falcons?
I owe you an edible arrangement, Marcus Mariota, because I was apparently incorrectly harsh about you and your now 3-3 Falcons. Marcus Mariota only threw 14 passes. He completed 13 of them for a $129 and 2 touches, and they had 3 people go over 50 yards rushing, including freaking Marcus Mariota. 6 carries, 50 yards, and a touch on the ground. Yo, Marcus, let me say, as eloquently as I can, my bad, dog. My bad. That's on me. Turns out Marcus freaking Mariota has got a little bit of that dog in him, man.
Are you obligated to apologize to him on Twitter and at him? I'm happy to do it. Curious. I mean, because we know here on the Fan Upstate that we get a lot of interaction as far as
a million social media.
As far as social media goes, so
month.
Good shot that that Marcus might hit you back with it.
Marcus, my bad, my guy. Dude, if Marcus Mariota flipped me off to my face, I'd be like, yep, deserve that. I deserve that. I'll tell you when listen.
I'd fight him over that for you.
I would
do
nope.
that.
I'd fight you for fighting him. Marcus, my bad, dude. My bad. By the way, my favorite part of that Falcons win was not during the game. My favorite part of that game. Don't try to make me like you, Atlanta. Don't try to make me like you. I don't want to do it. Don't make me like you. After the game was over, after the Falcons got back to 500, and as Lonzo pointed out correctly, now have a half-game lead on top of the NFC South over Tampa Bay. After that game was over, after they racked up almost 200 rushing yards, after they helped Marcus Mariota go 13 of 14 through the air, Arthur Smith walked into the locker room, grabbed his still in uniform offensive line. Lonzo, he took them out to the concourse and he bought them concession stand beers to pound in the stadium with the fans because the O-line was exceptional yesterday. So Arthur takes the big boys out to the concession stand and buys them all a stadium beer to knock back before they even change pants.
Oh, that's all cool and everything.
Amazing.
But I'm guessing he didn't have to buy it.
From what I understand, he did.
Well, you pulled some cash out of his pocket. I mean, it's the owner of the. You just kind of point and say, "Hey, give them something."
That's the head coach.
Oh, okay.
The head coach brought the boys in uni out into amongst the people of Atlanta and grabbed them some cold ones to crack open right there in the stadium. Still in the damn pads. Don't make me like you, Atlanta. I don't want to do it. I hate a Falcon. But this is pretty freaking cool. I love this. I love this. You're talking about a team that has you know what Atlanta's doing right now? What Carolina should be? Atlanta's doing what Carolina should be. Everybody told them, you guys suck. You got nothing. You're not ready. You're bad. You're going to be dead last in this division. And instead, they went, you know what? Circle up. For us, by us, on us. Let's go get it. And they're cracking cold ones after.
Could have had Mariota, Panthers. See?
My bad, y'all. My bad, y'all. My bad. Look, listen. In fact, I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna show you on the stream once again. Facebook.com/FanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, or search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube and on Twitch. Ads are still on. They're hallway of the stadium cracking brewskis with the fans around them. I love this. I hate a Falcon. I love this. These guys are great. All right. I still don't have my tech upgraded, Zoe, so I don't know who's on the phone.
We have Kevin.
Kevin, welcome back to the show, fella.
What's happening?
What's up, big dog?
Oh, man, sitting here just wondering, hey, man, we talked about this, right before football season started. So I'm going to put you on something. You remember when we talked about Zach Wilson and what he had going on before the season started, right?
Zach Wilson, lover of mothers everywhere.
Right. I told you Miss Betty was doing her thing because now you see Zach Wilson balling. So to see this going on now, hey man, he might keep this going on. But on my Packers end, 60 yards rushing, 60.
Yeah, total. 60. Not like one running back, total.
Right, total. And Aaron Rodgers throws 41 passes, 1 touchdown.
What, Kev? And I'm gonna phrase this question the best way I can. What the hell is going on right now with your pack?
Right. Yeah, so listen, this has been a head scratcher all weekend for me. Yeah. Only my good thing is my Tar Heels beat Duke. That was a great game.
Great game. Great, really fun game to watch if you didn't have a dog in the fight. You are exactly right.
Oh man, because the way Duke went up, I thought we was about to take a L on the nose for this one. But man, we played. We got a quarterback, y'all. We got a quarterback.
Drake May is a dude. There's no doubt that he is a dude. That Carolina defense came up clutch at the end. Listen, let's not pretend that Duke is Georgia. Let's not pretend Duke is Clemson, but you gutted out a win in a rivalry game and kept you on track. I mean, that's all you can ask for in that spot.
Kept us on track. Now, we every year, even when Mac Brown was there, we just find some boneheaded other way to lose 2 more games to the craziest people you ever seen in our life. But hopefully we can change this thing and keep this thing coming. And get another bowl. Get out of Charlotte. Let's go somewhere else and play. So I'm riding down the road on my way to fall for Greenville, and I'm just listening to scores. It's 28-10, Tennessee over Alabama. I'm like, what?
Yep.
But it's only in the second quarter. So I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to be 28-28 here in a little bit. So I go down, I get me a couple grown folk juices and chill out for a minute. And next thing I know, it's 28-28. Oh, Lord. Next thing I know, it's 49-49. So as I'm walking down the road and at Fall for Greenville, I guess they kicked the field goal. Everybody and their mama lost their mind. I think everybody in Greenville wanted Alabama to lose. Everybody wanted them to lose. And shout out to Fall for Greenville too, man.
Kev, I'm going to tell you what happened. I was driving back from the softball game I played up in Lancaster on Saturday night. And, I'm listening to the game, right? I'm driving, so I'm listening to the game. And it gets to be deep in the fourth because when I was the same boat. I was kind of like checking in and out. I had it recorded on the house. I know I was going to watch it when I got back home if it was worth watching. So I get back. I'm driving back in the car, and I'm listening, and the game's tied up. And the girlfriend texts me. Her mom is a Bama fan, right? So she's texting me, and because I told her, I'm like, hey, text me like highlights, what's happening, so I know what to keep up. She texts me, and she's like, all right, Alabama tied this thing up. There's like a minute and a half. They've got the ball, and they're driving in. And I'm like, oh, it's Nick Saban. He's going to win by a field goal. Like, of course he is. And then she texts me, and she's like, they missed the field goal. Tennessee's got it with like $1:15 left. Kev, so I don't know if you've ever driven to Lancaster, South Carolina, but
hold on before you finish that. The fact that you say Lancaster is the realest thing ever, because that's been the biggest argument. Either Lancaster or Lancaster. Which one are we going to? Right?
All right, so that's what the people told me. Lancaster. It's Lancaster, home of the Bruins.
Did we not? We had this conversation.
I know, but listen,
okay.
Literally everywhere else I've ever been, that word is Lancaster. All right, so Lancaster, South Carolina. Right. Just like the people in Knoxville will tell you it's Knoxville, and the people in Louisville will tell you it's Louisville, right? Everybody's got their thing, and it's fine. That's your thing. It's Lancaster. All right, so anyway, I drive up there. I'm on the way back. If you've never driven to Lancaster, South Carolina, between here and there ain't nothing. There's nothing. There's like one town that's like 20 houses that are built way down below the road in like a reservoir. And that's it, right? So I'm driving back.
You get everything from the store while you're going.
You better, because there's nothing between here. And by the way, they call their baseball facility Doomsday Corner, which is the best high school facility name I've ever heard. But there's nothing. I'm driving back from Lancaster, South Carolina. She texts me that Bama missed the field goal. Tennessee's got $1:15 left to go, and they only need a field goal to win. Kev, I stopped on the side of the road at this little like and I couldn't even tell you where it was because I don't remember. It was like a gas station with, dude, a dive bar that I felt before I needed to go in. I needed to put on like a stab-proof vest, right? And I go into this little bitty middle of nowhere damn dive bar because I'm like, if they got a TV, this is the game that's on, right? So I pop in this bar. I wish I could remember the name of it. I was so caught up in the game, I didn't even think about it. This bar had like one 20-inch old school
floor model.
Yeah, like floor model old school TV. They got the game on. There are 4 dudes in this place. 3 of them are very clearly riding motorcycles together, maybe or maybe not in a motorcycle gang. And then one guy that I swear had to be 90 years old, and he's over in the back throwing back a beer, and they got the game on. And so it's my preppy ass in like joggers and a bright orange softball jersey, 3 motorcycle dudes, a 90-year-old guy, and the lady behind the bar who, let's just say I'm sure she's got some stories to tell, all right? Tennessee kicks this field goal, and those 5 people, plus this preppy little average white dude off the street in his bright orange shirt, dude, you'd have thought that it was like New Year's Eve in a town of 6 because they absolutely popped off, lost their minds when Tennessee knocked that back. And I had to stay and watch because the Tennessee fans in Knoxville, when they ripped out the goalpost, I mean, dude, it was amazing to watch. It was amazing to watch.
It was, man. Hey, today, you know, Nick Saban, after losses like that, you know, he walking around just his nose in the air, ready for the next week to get started. I hate it for them this week at practice, man. I just feel like Nick has felt like he just lost 3 games in 1 with that loss.
He was mad because and I will agree with him, a couple of the pass interference calls at the end of the game against Bama, including one where Kool-Aid McKinstry had what would have been a big return well deep into Tennessee territory. There were some pass interference calls that we'll say they were questionable, right? Like we'll say they were questionable that he was unhappy about. And I absolutely get that. But there is a difference between they were questionable and they were missed. Like, were they pass interference? By the letter of the law, yes. By the letter of the law, yes. But at the same time, I think over the years, Bama has benefited from as many missed calls as anybody else in college football. Right. So it's like, dude, it just kind of is what it is, my guy. It just kind of is what it is.
What about the Cavaliers and Rebels Friday, man? I looked at it one time, it was 22-8, and next thing I know it was 22-22. So what we had going on over that way?
It was a fantastic game. Dorman scored 3 touchdowns in about 8 minutes. They went up 22-8. And then the Burns defense decided to get feisty. They were able to, first off, they had a 10-yard run from Jaden Williams. By the way, RB4, because Burns was down to their 4th running back due to some health issues and some injuries and whatnot. Had a great drive, ran a little gadget play where their wide receiver threw a 47-yard pass complete, scored a touchdown. Defense came out. Defense was able to force a fumble that they recovered and returned for a touchdown, brought it back into 1. And then when it came, they tied it up at 22. And then the kicker for Dorman, who had missed an XP, missed a 28 and like a 30-yard field goal, set up for a 44-yard field goal. And I'm like, dude, we're going to overtime, right? He hadn't even been close yet. And he just squeaked it up over the upright on the left-hand side and knocked it through. A heartbreaker for the Burns Rebels. That Dorman team is good, my dude.
Oh, yeah, man. Them boys, they got some biscuit eaters on that team, man. Them boys have got some biscuit-eating boys over there.
So the smallest guy.
I don't know where they're coming from down that way, but they got them.
The smallest guy. And Kev, good to talk to you, buddy. I appreciate it. Good to hear from you. How about this offensive line for Dorman, Lonzo? Left tackle, 350. Right tackle, 365. Center, 325. The 2 smallest guys on their offensive line were the 2 guards who went 275 and 295.
Sound like a couple of slackers. I mean, you got to eat to keep up with the rest of the boys, don't you?
My dude, if I caught that offensive line, as a defensive end, when I was in high school, I might have quit. I might have just quit on the spot. I might have quit. Birds put up a hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. Dorman finished them off. That's just how it goes. Good football team. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Speaking of talent in Tennessee, Alabama, we can talk a little bit more about that if y'all want to. We can get into some of the other games. We talked Clemson v. FSU earlier in the day. We can bring that one back up. Ain't no shortage of stuff to talk about on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Be right back. Stream. Don't go.
So, Steven, to answer your question, yes, Game Pass is a must because there's like 100 games on there that you can play. Also, if you get Game Pass Ultimate, which I think is like $19.95, you can play computer games too. So if you have a decent computer, you can play some games on there, like some strategy games, and plus a lot of the games that are on console too. And also there's like a lot of games day one will drop on Game Pass, so you're not having to pay that extra $70, which I just found out there's a new game I want this week, which is $70. So I'm gonna have to wait a couple of weeks to get it. Well, Gotham Knights. But there are a lot of games like Xbox owns Bethesda, so a lot of Bethesda games will drop, like Starfield when it comes out is supposed to be on Game Pass. They just bought Blizzard. When the thing finally goes through, there's going to be games from Blizzard that are going to be game one. They also have a ton of other stuff. So I think it's well worth it. I haven't, the last game I bought was Elden Ring, and that was like, I don't know, sometime in the summer. But there are 2 Assassin's Creed games on there right now, and I haven't played either one. and one of them has such a large map. I've been playing it
It's so big.
been playing it forever, and
I finally found a bad guy the same level as me that I cannot beat. Can't get by the snake dealer outside of Athens. That guy has worked me with his poison darts. Worked me.
I am now at 47.
I'm at 17. I'm a little behind.
I just killed a level 50 at 47. Just because now I'm starting to do a pretty good combo of oops, I shouldn't have went in there. I'm running and just shooting arrows at people, trying to isolate some of the guys, because even though they may be 3 levels above me, if I can isolate someone, I got a shot at beating them with a combination of poison and fire and them being able to run.
My strategy today for the snake dealer guy, you can get a stealth attack in him and knock him down to half. But then he hits you with the poison arrows and it just drains you.
Have you upped your stealth attack to the degree where...
I've got it as high as I can get it.
Okay.
Yeah. So my next, what I did not know is that you can go back and change what perks you have loaded in. So I got to do that. But now my thing is he camps out at the bottom of a cliff. So now my goal is to get him to chase me to the top of the cliff, circle back around him, and Sparta kick him off the cliff.
Yeah, and they don't heal. So bosses will heal,
Yeah.
but the other guys won't. So
Yeah, well, that got me in one.
But they will as you get higher. They'll take potions or something.
Yeah, I lost my first conquest fight the other day because of that. I got one of their last big bosses down to like low health, and there were 3 more Athenians around him. So I ran away because I was at low health too, thinking they'd finish him off. And he goes "Ugh," and like heals back up half. What is this? Rolling towards the end of the show here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. If you want to be a part of it, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. At YoG Solid is, YoGSOLIDIS on Twitter, just said Mariota has one good game and the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate goes in and posted a clip of something Chris Collinsworth said. I didn't get a chance to listen to the clip during the break. Dude, you could have gotten, I bet, odds on Atlanta leading this division at any point at probably plus 550, plus 600. You could have got them at odds to lead the division at any point at plus 550 in Vegas this year. Ain't nobody took that bet.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Here they are.
I'm sure Vegas probably thought that Brady and the Bucs would be undefeated at this point.
Yeah.
Or at least close to
Yeah,
it.
and I doubt anybody thought the Falcons were going to be a 500 ball club.
Yeah,
Here they are.
I'm guessing, if I remember projections, it was Bucs first, New Orleans second,
Atlanta third,
and
Carolina
then,
last.
Yeah.
Yep, you're exactly right. As it stands right now, the Dolphins, who started off 3-0, are 3-3. The Patriots are 3-3. The Chargers are 3. I'm reading you all the teams that are 500 below or one game over. The Chargers are 3-2. The Broncos, the Raiders. The entire AFC North is 500 or worse. The Titans are 3-2. So are the Colts. And the Jags and Texans are both under there on the AFC side. On the NFC side, as we all predicted, the NFC East is the best division in the NFC right now.
Without a doubt. Everyone knew that.
We all knew that.
Yeah, we did.
The entire NFC West is 500 or below. The Vikings are 5-1. Everybody except the Vikings are 500 or below, including the Packers. And the entire NFC South is 500 or below right now, right? Hey, dude, it just kind of is what it is right now. I'm not making the case that Atlanta's good. I'm saying Marcus Mariota, I projected to be the reason, or a big chunk of it, that the Falcons would not be 500. And yet, he only threw 14, but he completed 13 of them for a couple of TDs and then ran one in himself. It's solid. It's solid. All right, a couple more things that I wanted to get into here on the radio broadcast today. Speaking of Alabama, Tennessee, I have taken a lot of heat for something I've said about Nick Saban repeatedly throughout his career. Bama fans hate me for it. They hate. I used to have a show in Mobile, Alabama. They hated me for it. And here's the take I'll give you here. Nick Saban is a very average game day coach. Very average game day coach, right? What's the old phrase? The mark of a great coach is that he can take your guys and beat his guys, or take his guys and beat your guys. That's the mark of a great coach. Nick Saban is not a great game day coach. Nick Saban beat you in February and March and April and May and June, right? Nick Saban has his teams down to a science. He has got them prepped with the schemes and the tactics to beat you in March. He gets the best athletes and he puts them on the field in the best way to give them a chance to win. But when Nick Saban runs up against teams that have equal talent and better coaching, he loses. Josh Heupel at Tennessee. When Tennessee hired Josh Heupel, there were a lot of folks who wrote them off. They're like, dude, what a bad hire. He's already failed, right? He took over at a program at UCF that was already built up, and he was pretty above average, but above average there. What a stretch of a hire. And now all of a sudden, Josh Heupel looks good, my man. Tennessee looks good, my man. Tennessee out-coached Nick Saban late in that game. Did they get a little help with a couple of big DPI calls, especially on the one where Kool-Aid was bringing it back deep into Tennessee territory? Sure. They weren't not pass interference calls. They were pass interference. They were very soft pass interference calls. I'm not going to argue that, but they were pass interference calls. Tennessee, Josh Heupel, they outcoached Nick Saban down the stretch, right? Nick Saban's offense outpowered Tennessee's defense. That's why when they were down big, they were able to climb back into that game. When it was, 28-10 or whatever? They were able to climb back into that game. But in the fourth quarter, Tennessee unlocked it. They figured it out. They made the adjustments. They outcoached Nick Saban. My favorite part, I start skimming the news sites on Sunday morning as I'm getting set up for Carolina kickoff. And I see a guy who covers Bama football down in Mobile, Birmingham, in that area. And he's like, this is it. It's the end of the Saban era. He's been figured out. Like, maybe not. Maybe don't go panicking yet. Maybe don't panic. Maybe recognize that Alabama has still, for the next couple of years, got the best set of recruits, the best athletes in college football. And they're going to win most of their games just by being flat out better athletes than everybody. But Nick Saban better start looking to bring some football brains in, because Bill O'Brien ain't the dude, right? Just not the guy. That's all you need to know. Nick Saban got out-coached by Josh Heupel. And now, when you look at the new AP poll, it's very obvious. It's very obvious. Nick Saban is an okay game day coach. He's a great offseason coach, and he showed you that every year. Speaking of that AP poll, Georgia won, 31 first-place votes. Ohio State 2, 17 first-place votes. Tennessee 3, and Lonzo, 15 first-place votes to show for it. They were three indifferent sports writers away from jumping Ohio State to get to number 2. But they're number 3. Michigan, demo job on Penn State this weekend, goes to 4. And in the AP poll right now, a win over Florida State was good enough to get Florida State, to get Clemson bounced out of the top 4 in the AP poll. They are in a non-playoff spot now, per the Associated Press. Now, the good news, as we mentioned, Ohio State 2, Michigan 4. One of those is going to knock the other out at the end of the year. But Clemson needs some style points because Bama's right there lurking.
Tennessee plays Georgia on November 5th. So that'll take care of
one of them.
Probably too. And don't count Alabama out.
Oh, hell no, don't count Alabama.
Yeah. Because chances are they're still going to represent the West, and they'll get a shot to get back in there.
Sure will. Probably more than likely at Georgia. Although
But
Georgia has not played an offense like Tennessee's yet.
I was going to say, Alabama will be playing Georgia in the SEC championship. Or will they be playing Tennessee? I don't know.
What did I tell you guys all week about Tennessee last week? I picked Tennessee in the Boo Box bets.
I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit cracking on Tennessee because they have arrived. They are back.
They are here.
They are back. Yeah.
Offensively, defensively, a lot of question marks. Defensively, a lot of question marks. But offensively, this Tennessee team is as good as anybody in the country. Offensively, that's official. They got y'all all on notice. Is that good enough to win a title? Question mark. Is it good enough to get them into a playoff? Question mark. Is it good enough to beat Alabama? Sure was. Is it good enough to beat Georgia? I don't know. Because Georgia got them dogs on both sides of the ball. Tennessee wins on offense, right? Tennessee wins because they put more points on Alabama than anybody since 1907. I think that was 3 years before Nick Saban took over at Alabama, if I recall correctly. That's how they win. Will they be able to get into a 53-50 boat race against Georgia? I don't know, Lonzo. I do know that Tennessee-Georgia has just become the next big game between us and Ohio State, Michigan. Cannot wait. Clemson's in a good spot. Just finish, right? Don't blow it. Just finish. Finish and win the ACC undefeated and win the ACC title, and you're in. But if you lose the ACC championship game, and a one-loss Alabama team will jump you.
I was going to say Clemson's in one of the best spots because they know that they're not going to have any real challenges in the ACC, despite what Rob argues. I
think they're good now.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the Syracuse game, but I think they're good now.
Yeah, so you get past Syracuse, you take it easy. Don't get upset by South Carolina, which is not going to happen, but you never know. It's a rivalry game. But yeah, those other teams are going to take care of themselves. The question is, are you, as a Clemson fan, do you really believe that Clemson can defeat one of the top 2 or 3 teams that are out there right now? Can you get past your fandom?
Not yet. I'll tell you this. I do disagree with one thing you said. Take it easy. You need style points, dude. You need to be wrecking teams by 40.
I'm not sure they can. I think that's the problem. I think they would if they could.
They're going to need to, and here's why. With the ACC being the way it is right now, right? With the way it is right now. If Michigan and Ohio State end the season and the only loss is by 1 to the other, and the Big Ten's down 2, could I see one of those teams getting by Clemson and being a one-loss team that jumps an undefeated ACC champ? Yes. Will it? No. But could I see it? Yes. What I absolutely could see is Georgia playing Alabama in the SEC championship game. Alabama finds a way to win if Georgia beats Tennessee. But either Tennessee or Georgia being undefeated in the SEC championship game, playing Alabama, Bama beats one of them in the SEC title game, and 2 one-loss SEC teams go in before an undefeated ACC champion. I could absolutely see that happen.
And see, all this is we're going off the AP. The CFP may be something totally different.
Correct.
Clemson may not even be like in the top 8. It probably will be, but you just don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go Clemson at 7-0 is ahead of Ole Miss at 7-0. TCU's pretty good, but ahead of TCU, ahead of UCLA, the undefeated teams. Syracuse at 6-0. They won't be after this weekend when Clemson beats them. The only team I worry about that has a loss would be Bama. Maybe Ole Miss, but Ole Miss would need another big win, I think, to get there. But yeah, I could see the CFP having Clemson ranked 6 out of the gate with work to do. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap this bad boy up. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. The bots are gone, Lonzo. You ran them off.
No, we started talking Clemson, and then they went away. That's what it was.
Carolina's only touchdown came on a 30-yard interception return from Dante Jackson. The Panthers have dropped 3 straight and lost at first under Steve Wilkes as interim head coach. The Phillies eliminated the Braves 3-1 in the wild card round with an 8-3 victory on
So yesterday at the grocery store, I think I found the single most slowest cashier in the history of mankind, to the point where she was muttering under her breath, "Wow, you sure did buy a lot of these." Talking about water, talking about the waters, because I'll get like 15,
Right.
and she doesn't know how to use the turnstile.
You don't self-checkout?
No, because we get too much.
You know what I do with the waters? Because I'm the same as you. I buy 2 cases of them at a time.
Yeah.
I take them to the self-checkout. I grab one and I just go beep, 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 and blast it.
Here's the problem. If more people aren't like me and go to actual people checking you out, very soon there won't be actual people checking you out. And I want to keep America working. That's what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lonzo's just better than us as a person.
As a former grocery worker, I realize valuable things that I learned on that job, and I would hate to see kids and where are the old people going to work if they can't? No, I mean I'm talking about like greeters and stuff.
Stuff to do in a grocery store besides
No, I was talking about greeters.
Here's the thing, greeters have never been necessary.
Yeah,
Never. I don't need to walk into the
agree.
store to have somebody go, welcome. I assume I am. I have money. I assume I'm welcome here. That's kind of your thing.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
I get it. I'm fine with like Walmart greeters for exactly the reason you just said. Like all right. It lets somebody who might not have a job. I'm good with that.
I did notice the color of the vest that the employee was working. So next week when we go, I will make sure if I see that color of vest, I will avoid that line. There's also
even if it's not the same
There's
person.
also the telltale signs of them having nothing on their belt, and there are lines on the other 5
utility belts.
No. I'm talking about the cashier.
Right.
There's like 5 or 6. No, when I say belt, I mean the conveyor belt that you put the groceries on.
Like their waist belt.
No. Some of them do.
Is your checkout person Batman?
Well, no, because Batman would have been efficient. So if I know these signs, but I saw it was open and was like, you know what? I don't have to wait to put everything up there. And I am, I'm using both hands, getting everything up there, putting everything just nice. And then I have to wait 10 minutes for her to slowly, I said her, didn't I? And then decided to leave each 2 liter out and put them on top instead of putting them in the bag. So I just bagged them myself.
See, everything you just did is the reason that I go to the self-checkout. And it has the added benefit of I don't have to interact with anybody when I'm just trying to be. I don't like being in a grocery store.
All right, I don't want to handle these things twice. All right, I'm picking them up. You put them in the bag for me. I know technically I'm doing that, but not entirely. Not entirely because, I'm not handling singular. There's like 3 or 4 in a bag, hopefully. Also, it was the worst bagging ever. Because the groupings were bad, so nothing would stand up in the trunk. So it's taken me twice as long to put everything in there because I just don't know what to do outside of starting to take things out of bags and put them in a bag that would make them work. There used to be a style to doing this. You build a wall inside the bag so it will stand up on its own, and it's just poor teaching. It's just horrible.
I like grocery store critic Lonzo.
Also, if I go to the self-checkout, there's always something that doesn't work and I have to wait while the light is flashing and look at myself in the
security camera.
Yes,
I've done
the
it
entire time. And if I'm looking at myself in the camera, I feel like I need to perform because, I'm on camera 6 days a week. And believe it or not, some people don't like that when I perform in public. Namely, the person who just got on the
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter trending topics.
All right, before we do that, because Miss Lisa is in the thread now, and I'm assuming she wasn't earlier because Lonzo's phone didn't blow up. So Ms. Lisa, so you know, so that it's all the evidence is here. I brought Lonzo as a thank you gift for the hard work that he has done on both this show and the Views from Mint Street podcast. I have gifted to Lonzo and by default to you, Miss Lisa, a Luke Kuechly autographed football. I have presented it to Lonzo. He has the Luke Kuechly autographed football. It is in his possession. It is out of mine. That is a thank you gift to Lonzo, but also to you for letting him take on the added work of the podcast, because like he didn't have enough to do in his week to week. So what you guys decide, Miss Lisa, to do with that football is up to you. But Lonzo is now in possession as a gift from yours truly of a Luke Kuechly autographed football. Where it ends up in the compound is entirely up to y'all.
Two things that are proof why I need to be off this board in a few minutes.
You're struggling.
I hit the microphone, which I never do. Also, I nearly exited out of wide orbit.
For those of you who don't know what
Luckily,
that means,
it said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
No,
I'm not.
No. I don't want to do that.
I'm quite sure the opposite, actually.
Yeah. All right. So Twitter topics, you know the deal. All right. So the first thing that's trending is Kang.
Kang the Conqueror, who is likely going to be, I assume at this point it's pretty much known, is going to be the next big baddie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Since this is a segment where I just go wherever I want to go with these things, I did finish She-Hulk this weekend. It was obviously super meta, and I enjoyed it. It was very much different. The only thing that I have a question about is, how do you take something that was so dynamically meta, unlike anything else they have done, so self-actualizing in its existence, and then work that into the movie? Like, does She-Hulk have the ability to break the third wall in the movies as well, knowing that, or fourth wall in the movies, knowing that she is speaking to an audience like she was in the show? And if so, now that you're bringing Deadpool to the MCU with Logan, by the way, which is amazing, now that you're bringing that over, doesn't that kind of decrease what Deadpool is as a character?
No, you can't, because with Deadpool there's more cursing. All right, the reason why Kang is trending, yeah, that's the word, is there's a picture out there of Jonathan Majors in his next role, which is in Creed 3, and it's got everyone thinking, okay, that's why Kang's going to conquer, because dude is big time swole. And
dude is big time swole.
Yeah, it's seeing him in WandaVision. No, in Loki. Seeing him in Loki and seeing him here, it's like, okay, how'd they hide that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how big this dude is. All right, we got time for one more. The other thing that's trending is G4.
I have not seen anything about it yet.
They are going bye-bye.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, it's not making money. People aren't downloading it. People aren't watching it like they expected it to do.
You know what?
And all the employees have found out pretty much by seeing it on Twitter.
Yeah. I'm not really entirely surprised. I tried a lot of G4. In fact, like Attack of the Show, when they had the wrestlers on, it's like one of my favorite things. But I'm not surprised, because they basically tried to create like an influencer driven network, right? Like you tune in and it's just people like hanging out with each other. And it's like, that can be fun in bits and doses, but you can't make a whole network out of it. And there's not really like shows that justify it. All right. That's it for us, kids. Lonzo's going to go take a nap. Jim Rome's going to do some radio next. Then Mark and Diesel will coming up at 3. That's what time they do, right? Yeah, 3-7. Y'all have a good rest of your day. We're back here tomorrow with, again, no shortage of things to talk about on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. You are very welcome, Miss Lisa. I know you guys like the Luke Kuechly, so I saw that and I'm like, well, I got to get that for him. So anyway, Lonzo has it. Where it ends up next is up to you and him. Have a great day, everybody.